All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. My name is Matt Morse. I am your host. We are live right now on YouTube at Matt Morse TV, as well as on Rumble at Matt Morse TV. I believe I am live. I just got a YouTube ad. That actually ties into what I'm talking about next. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to apologize for not being here yesterday. There were some false starts. It looked like we were going live, then we didn't go live. That is because I spent all day yesterday afternoon having massive YouTube technical difficulties. In fact, yesterday afternoon, I spent probably 6 hours in the afternoon and the evening trying to fix these YouTube tech issues. The issues are still not solved. It seems as if the issues are actually on YouTube's end. I don't think it's anything on my end. That's what I've determined. And so the issues are still here, but I think I've found some acceptable workarounds. So we are back today in kind of a weird way, but I think we are back nonetheless. And so, ladies and gentlemen, in about maybe 1 hour and 15 minutes, 75 minutes or so, President Trump is going to be coming on out and giving sort of an emergency announcement. I was keeping tabs on his presidential schedule. Trump today at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Western, Trump is coming out and giving a big announcement. Everybody is expecting this announcement to be related to immigration and cracking down on immigration. So that really is the big news of the day. Now, we had a lot of news yesterday that I want to go through. I meant to be here yesterday. Yesterday was, much to my dismay, because I was out of service. Yesterday was a very eventful day. And so today I want to do a little bit of a recap. There's a lot to talk about, and I'm sure that it is going to segue into what we are talking about today. Now, just to make sure real quick, could everybody post in the live chat, hi, hello, hey, what's up? I'm from Idaho. Tell me where you're from. I just want to make sure that we are live right now. I'm kind of like second guessing the entire operation right now, but I think everything is fine enough. So I'm going live a little bit earlier than normal because I want to do kind of a recap of yesterday. We're going to be talking about immigration, Minnesota, the Somalian fraud rings. President Trump issued an executive order yesterday. He's overturning every single one of President Joe Biden's auto pen statements. Yesterday was a pretty big day. So we're going to do maybe a half hour, 45-minute long recap, and then President Trump is going to come on out. Okay, seems like we're here. I think we're good on Rumble. I think we're good on YouTube. Is everything working down here? I see the YouTube live count is not working. Tech issues. So I have no idea how many people are tuning in on YouTube right now. I can't even view my own broadcast. To kind of let you know what's going on, I can't view my own broadcast. I can't see how many people are tuning in. Yesterday, I wasn't even able to view my own YouTube live chat. I had to come up with a workaround to view my own YouTube live chat. And so I can see what you guys post in the chat. I don't know if I can see super chats. Maybe I can see super chats. Maybe I can't. And the problem is that I can't even fix this on my own end. This is a YouTube problem is what it is. So it's incredibly frustrating. But ladies and gentlemen, here's what I want to do. I want to kick off the show. Yesterday at President Trump's cabinet meeting, what can I call it? Can I say scorched earth? Everybody says, Matt, you use the phrase scorched earth too often. Well, he pretty much did. He went scorched earth. Again, this time talking about third world immigrants, this time talking about Somalis, Ilhan Omar. We don't want them. We don't want them in this country. President Trump went all out in this cabinet meeting. And as a little bit of a recap here, I want to play this for you. This is what we need to see. I want to see more of this. Let's go. Take a look.
Waltz is a grossly incompetent man. There's something wrong with him, okay? There's something wrong with him. And when you look at what he's done with Somalia, which is barely a country, you know, they have no anything. They just run around killing each other. There's no structure. And when I see somebody like Ilhan Omar, who I don't know at all, but I always watch her for years. I've watched her complain about our Constitution, how she's being treated badly. Our Constitution, the United States of America, is a bad place. Hates everybody, hates Jewish people, hates everybody. And I think she's an incompetent person. She's a real terrible person. But when I watch what is happening in Minnesota, the land of 1,000 lakes or however many lakes they have. They got a lot of lakes. But this beautiful place, and I see these people ripping it off. And now I'm understanding, and you're going to look at that, Scott. I hear they ripped off Somalians, ripped off that state for billions of dollars. Billions.
Yeah.
Every year. Billions of dollars. And they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing.
These Somalians in Minnesota, they are contributing nothing.
I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country.
Why is Somalia no good? I mean, let's just be honest here. Can I kind of address the elephant in the room? Why is Somalia no good? It's because it's full of Somalians. That is why. That is why. There's nothing rotten about the land. It's not a land problem. There's nothing in the air. There's nothing wrong with Somalia as a geographic entity, as an area of land. The problem with Somalia is that it's full of Somalians. That is the problem.
I can say that about other countries too. I can say it about other countries too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point.
Yeah.
We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other. And we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country.
If we keep taking in garbage into our country, we're going to go the wrong way. We're at a tipping point. He just called Somalian people, garbage. If we keep taking in garbage like Somalians, is what he just said, then our country is over. Wow. And you know what I've seen since he said this? His poll numbers are coming up. We have daily polls coming out. His poll numbers are already, as it would turn out, all President Trump has to do to poll highly, to have people across this country say, yes, we want more. We love you, Trump. All he has to do is call people retarded and shit talk third world immigrants. Really, that's what it is. Call liberals retarded, because they are. That's what he did with Tim Walz the other day. So call the liberals retarded, and then trash talk third world immigrants, and then get rid of them. That's all. That's like really all we want from him. Get him out of here.
Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain, and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back.
Ilhan Omar, you are a stinky, retarded Somalian bitch. You are a stinky Somalian retarded bitch. Yes. You are a stinky, garbage Somalian retarded bitch. Yes. This is what we want. This is what we want. President Trump, yes, more of this. Every day this. Yes. This is what we want. Deport them. Get them out of the country. Get them out of here. Go back to your own stinky garbage country. Yes, to your own retarded stinky country. I'm sorry. Listen, normally I don't speak like this. Normally I'm not so crass. I apologize. But when the president is speaking like this, I feel like I have a pass. I feel like if he says it, I can say it. Okay, just this once. Let's just get it out of our system. Ilhan Omar is a stinky, retarded Somalian garbage bitch. Okay, it's out of my system. I'm never going to say it again. I apologize.
To where they came from and fix it. Thank you very much, everybody.
and a round of applause. And everybody in the meeting is clapping. Hey, that's true. That's true. Ilhan Omar is a stinky garbage Somalian bitch. That's true. Hear, hear. I propose a toast. I propose a toast. Pinky out. I'm putting my pinky out. I propose a toast. Salud. Cheers. I just spilled my drink all over my desk. That's how excited I am. This is exactly what we want. That's all you have to do. Yes. That's it. That's what everybody wants. This is what everybody wants. Hear, hear. That is all you have to do. And then following this cabinet meeting, President Trump, he actually signed the document. We knew that this was coming. He talked about this. He introduced this a couple days ago, but now it is official. As of yesterday afternoon, shortly after this cabinet meeting, the Trump administration has officially halted all immigration and naturalization for immigrants from 19 third world countries. Now, as far as I'm concerned, real quick, there are, in actuality, probably like 45, maybe 50 third world countries. So this is 19 of them. I think we need to go a little bit further. We got 19. Okay, that's a starting point, stepping stone. But I want to see like 45 or 50 different countries around the world locked down. We don't want them. We don't need them. And if they are already in the country, if they're already here, we got to get rid of them also. But 19, okay, that's a starting point. This includes migrants from these nations who already passed the citizenship. Wow. Reread that. This includes migrants from these nations who already have passed the citizenship test and who came here since January 20th, 2021. Well, what about the ones who came in before 2021? We got to get rid of them also. This is the official document. Do we have a list here? We've already read through this list the other day, specifically which countries there are. Which 19? I don't think we have that here, right? But anyway, it's 19. We got to bump that number up to like 40, 45, 50. We got to keep going, okay, incremental steps, baby steps. You got to crawl before you waddle. You got to waddle before you walk. You got to walk before you run. Okay, you work your way up to it. Okay, fine. But listen, we're making positive steps here. And by the way, something we're going to talk about today between you and me, the deportations of Somalians specifically in Minnesota specifically are already underway as of yesterday afternoon. I've seen a lot of people saying, okay, well, that's great. Who cares? President Trump is talking about it. He's calling Somalians garbage and trash and stinky. We're getting them out. He says we're going to get him out, but wake me up when he actually starts getting rid of them. It's one thing to talk about it. It's an entirely different thing to do about it. Well, as of yesterday, they are being gotten rid of. We actually have footage on the ground in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. The deportations are underway, and I'm going to show you that. We have footage. The leftists are already freaking out about that. But we have some other stuff to talk about before we get there. Marco Rubio issued a statement yesterday talking about the big lie of third world immigration. Take a look.
Here's the problem with vetting people. You can't have a perfect vet no matter who that person is for a couple reasons. The first is you can only vet information that exists, right? So it is possible that in many cases there are things about these people you just don't know. No matter how much you vet them, you just don't have certain information. And in some parts of the world where there's very limited documentation, limited, you can't just go out and interview people in many cases because of the presence of the Taliban, et cetera. It becomes very difficult. The second thing you can't vet, you can vet what people have done in the past. You can't bet what people might do in the future. There's another dynamic at play here, and that is you could allow someone into our country who has no history of radicalization. Perhaps they even have worked with you in the past, but they are susceptible to radicalization once they enter the United States because they don't assimilate well, because they fall victim to some of this online propaganda and efforts to radicalize people. And 2 or 3 years later, you find that they have radicalized. That is a threat. That is a real threat. It is a threat for everyone. We have homegrown people in the United States born here that have been radicalized. But I do think it is a higher threat among people that come from cultures and backgrounds that make it harder for them to assimilate once they get into the United States, and that make them vulnerable to Arabic language, for example, propaganda by ISIS or Al Qaeda or any of these other groups that are looking to radicalize
That's
people.
right.
So look, the bottom line is there is no effective way to allow hundreds of thousands of people to enter any country in the world and not face consequences. You take 100,000 people from anywhere in the world, and you're going to have some percentage of them that turn out bad. Either they turn into criminals or potentially terrorists.
Now, you know, my human brain here, I've got a brain kind of inside of my head. And they say, according to the scientists, I don't know, I wasn't there, they say that our human brain has been evolving for hundreds of millions of years. A long time ago, we were all lizards or something, and then we evolved into rodents and squirrels and monkeys. And then anyway, here we are. That's what they say. And so the idea is that our human brain has actually been evolving for a very long time for one really primary purpose. The best thing about humans is our ability to recognize patterns. They say that this is why humans have been so successful in the wilderness. We are surviving, we're inventing things, we're creative, we're different than all the other animals. And it really, one of the big reasons is because humans have an incredibly powerful pattern recognizing brain. Let's do a very basic example of this. Let's say there's a hot kettle of tea or coffee sitting on the furnace or on top of the oven. And you're a child, maybe you go up and you touch it and you say, "Ow, that's hot. I burned my fingers." Well, you have immediately recognized a pattern. Don't touch the hot coffee pot or don't touch the tea kettle because it's hot. Okay. Even a child, even a 2 or 3-year-old child, you touch the hot pot once, your fingers burned, you never do it again. Pattern recognized. And this is kind of our entire human life, is recognizing pattern and then adjusting our decision-making based off of this pattern recognition. Okay, so the reason why I'm talking about this, I'm sure it's like, dude, what are you talking about? Well, the reason why I say this is because I can't help but notice a pattern going on here. Every single country, there's like 20 of them across Europe. There's Canada, there's America, there's United States of America. Predominantly, it's Western world countries, white countries. All of these countries that have taken hundreds of thousands or millions of immigrants, refugees, asylees, whatever, from the Middle East and from Africa. All of these countries, every single time without exception, and now we have 25 or 30 examples of this. The countries go to hell. Has Germany gotten better by nature of taking a bunch of Middle Eastern and African immigrants? No. Has Canada gotten better by nature of taking hundreds of thousands of Middle Eastern, Indian, African immigrants? The answer is no. Has the United States of America gotten any better? Has our quality of life increased by nature of taking hundreds of thousands, millions of African, Middle Eastern immigrants? The answer is no. What about Sweden? What about Denmark? What about the Netherlands? What about the United Kingdom? What about France? What about Spain? What about Italy? The list, it just goes on and on and on. They're even having some of these examples in Japan, Australia, New Zealand. All of these countries. Has a single country, I mean, I hate to be the guy that has to say this because maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit rude. Maybe it's dare I say, a little bit racist. I don't know. You call it whatever you want. But listen, I live in reality. Maybe somebody else calls this racist. I call it reality. Has a single country on the face of this planet gotten tangibly better, materially better? People's lives have gotten better by nature of taking in any number of immigrants from Africa, India, the Middle East. And the answer is just time and 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 time again, times 25 or 30 or 35 examples, instances of this. Have any of them gotten better? The answer is no. The answer is no. And that is what my pattern recognizing human monkey brain, that's what my ook, 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 oonga boonga, that's what my ook, ook, oonga boonga monkey brain is starting to realize. Wait a minute here. I'm noticing a trend. Wait just a minute. I'm starting to notice a pattern. And then also you start peeling back the layers and you realize, wait a minute. And then furthermore, not only are our countries not getting better, but the countries that these people came from are shitholes. As President Trump said, not me, I'm not saying that. President Trump said, wherever they came from, these countries are terrible. And then they come to our countries and they similarly make our countries terrible. Wait just a minute. And then also we're told there's this narrative that all of them are coming here and they're assimilating and that we are a melting pot. Well, in order for that to be true, don't they have to actually assimilate? Don't they have to sort of melt into the pot, so to speak? Because my monkey brain here is recognizing something else. I'm piecing together another pattern. Not only are the vast extreme majority of these people not assimilating, they are actually priding themselves, taking pride in the fact that they are not assimilating. They are celebrating the fact that, like, they are taking over. They're taking over. They're waving their foreign flags, whether the flag is from Mexico or Palestine or Somalia. They are taking pride in the fact that they are not assimilating. They are taking pride in the fact that they are not melting into the pot. They are celebrating the fact that they're taking over and they're going to bring over their entire family, all 27 of their cousins and their mom and their dad and their grandma and their whatever, through processes like chain migration. And they're celebrating, that's right, we're taking over. Somalians run this town. Mexicans run this town. Ecuadorians run this town. And so this is what America's becoming. It's just a never-ending series of little ethnic cultural enclaves that are kind of really tearing the country apart. And so I agree with Marco Rubio on this. He went on to say, here's another clip.
Look, the bottom line is there is no effective way to allow hundreds of thousands of people to enter any country in the world and not face consequences. You take 100,000 people from anywhere in the world, and you're going to have some percentage of them that turn out bad. Either they turn into criminals or potentially terrorists. I think that threat is heightened when you come from places that have terrorist movements that would target these people for radicalization once they enter our country.
Well, I mean, this is a valid point that he's saying, is that we have immigrants that come in the country and then they retain their networks, their social networks, communication with people that are still back in their country of origin. And people in the country of origin, I mean, this is what we saw with the Afghani terrorist on the streets of Washington, D.C. about a week ago, the day before Thanksgiving, was that he came in the U.S., he was maintaining communication with other Afghanis still in Afghanistan. And Afghanis in Afghanistan were communicating with him, compelling him, convincing him, coaxing him, grooming him, I guess, maybe, I don't know, to carry out an attack like this. And the situation was, of course, more complex than that. But we have seen that exact situation time and time again, where foreign terror groups will be communicating with people that are in our country, trying to get them to carry out acts of violence. We've seen this time and time again, radicalizing them. He's absolutely right. On Fox News last night, they had a pretty good discussion talking about, how long is this? 90 seconds talking about what's currently going on in Minnesota as it pertains to all of the Somalians. Take a look at this.
This is another crazy story. Somalia, terrible place, civil war. Clinton comes in, Black Hawk Down, feels guilty, says the way we're going to do this, we'll just bring them all here, and just starts paroling tens of thousands of Somalians into Minnesota. Now, why Minnesota of all places? It's not warm. It's not like New York City. It's because the Latin American migrants hadn't gotten there yet. So the business community was like, let's send them to Minneapolis because that'll keep profits up and keep the wages down. And then we could all pat ourselves on the back and say diversity is our strength, right? So everybody gets Social Security numbers and everybody gets welfare, and they form this huge voting bloc.
You know what? Can I say something? Man, maybe it's because I'm pissed off. I'm annoyed today because I was having tech issues yesterday. I've got 2 days of political frustration pent up and I need to get it out. I need to say something. I need to disagree with him kind of a little bit. I mean, I agree with him, of course. The mass migration phenomenon is in part relating to economic reasons. These big globalist companies, they want cheap labor. They're importing cheap laborers from the third world. They can pay them less. Okay, that is a part of it. Permission to get a little bit crazy. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it even without your permission, so hear me out. I think there is a component of the mass migration phenomenon that is actually a little bit above and beyond simply economic reasons. I think in part it is economic reasons. Big globalist business, they want cheap laborers. Okay, here's my observation. Here's my monkey brain piecing things together. I think there is a concerted agenda to make white countries less white. Can I say that? Because you really only see all of this mass migration, and it's a concerted, deliberate, premeditated, longitudinal, long-term plan effort only taking place in Western world countries. It's happening all across Europe, forcefully against the democratic will of the people in these countries. It's happening in Canada. It's happening in the United States. And it's kind of only happening in these countries, in these Western world white countries. 100 years ago, white people were 36% of the global population, globally speaking. Today, white people are 8%. 8%. You want to talk about minority status? Minority. Who's a minority? White people are the minority. Around the globe, white people are a minority. In another 100 years, if trends continue the rate things have been going for the last 100 years, white people are pretty much not going to exist 100 years from now. God forbid. And of course, every day I'm trying to push back against that. I push back against that. I'm not happy about that. I'm saying we got to do something about that. Listen, it's so funny because over here in the Western world, everybody pretends to care about indigenous rights. This is our indigenous land. We need to respect the indigenous culture. Okay, what about the indigenous people of the British Isles? Do we care about those indigenous people on their indigenous native homeland? No, we don't. Yeah, okay. A little bit hypocritical, isn't it? Do we care about the indigenous Germanic people living in the Germanic territories? Do we care about those indigenous people in that indigenous land? No, we don't. We're trying to replace them with immigrants from Africa and the Middle East. Okay, sure. I can't help but notice. Do we care about the indigenous Swedish people living in their indigenous native homeland of Sweden? No, we don't. You can't help but notice, right? So I think it is in part economic. Yes, it's global business owners trying to import cheap labor, but I think there's something else going on here too.
In the city, I think it's 80,000 Somalians are in the state of Minnesota, and they all vote Democrat. And so who figured this whole thing out? Wasn't just New York Times, wasn't just Chris Rufo, Doge. What did we hear in the beginning of the year? That criminals were ripping off nonprofits. They were just stealing money. Dana's right. They happened in New York. It happened in LA. Remember was it $24 billion for the homeless? You don't think this is happening in every city across the country? That's where the money's going. Democrats are always so worried about inflation and the social welfare net. It's because criminals are stealing it and they won't do anything about it. And they didn't do anything about it because of racism.
Because of racism. What you find is that members of the left, the far left, really just the entire Democrat Party, the extent to which they care about social safety nets and taxpayer-funded welfare programs. Really, the reason why they care about these programs is because they are a means with which to take resources from you and give them to illegal aliens. That's the degree to which they care about these programs. They know you, heritage Americans, heritage Canadians, heritage German people living in Germany. It's kind of the same everywhere. The extent to which the far left, in whatever country they happen to be and care about these social safety net programs, welfare, food assistance, whatever, is the extent to which they can take money from you and give it to them. That's pretty much the case. Now, speaking of them, we have a little quote here from Ilhan Omar, who is obviously not so happy about being called a stinky bitch. I'm sorry. Permission to be a little bit crazy today. President Trump said it. President Trump called her a stinky garbage bitch. Not me. I apologize, but President Trump has given me permission for one day to say this, and I'm going to take advantage of it. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, presenting stinky garbage bitch Ilhan Omar.
He's always been a racist, a bigot, a xenophobic, and Islamophobic. We know that he called African nations a shithole in his first administration. We know that when he came down that escalator, he said he was going to stop Muslim immigration into this country. And so it is not surprising that he is going after black immigrants in this country. And it's certainly not surprising that he's choosing a black immigrant community that is also Muslim. But what I would like to say is that most of us are citizens. On our passport, it says we are nationals of this country. We love that Minnesota has welcomed us. Many of us have not been settled in Minnesota. We chose it as a home because the Minnesota people and the state is beautiful and very welcoming. And we are going to be here regardless of what the president has to say.
I agree.
You want to know how we can win midterms? There is a surefire, guaranteed way to win midterms. There are a couple ways. There's a couple ways. You want to know one of them? Detain Ilhan Omar, denaturalize her. That means take her citizenship away and deport her stinky, support her stinky ass back to Somalia, where she should be, where she never should have left. By the way, with her specifically, it's a very easy case because we know the documentation is public. She engaged in immigration fraud. She lied about her immigration status, with which she then got U.S. citizenship. She lied. That is a federal crime. It's documented. We know this. Get rid of her. Denaturalize her. Rip away her citizenship. Rip the citizenship away from her smug, stupid face. Deport her back to Somalia. If she loves it so much, she can go live in Somalia. And anyone that disagrees with this, they, as far as I'm concerned, they can go live in Somalia with her. Goodbye. Goodbye. Now, she issued kind of another passing statement yesterday afternoon. Take a look.
Congresswoman, do you agree with President Trump's assumption that you married your brother to get citizenship? Have you begun packing your bags for Somalia yet, Congresswoman?
I'm not going anywhere.
You're not?
Have you begun packing your hijabs? Have you begun packing your hijabs yet? Because you're going back to Somalia.
No, don't waste your energy on me.
Do you have a message for President
I will
Trump?
be here probably longer than Trump.
Wait, do you have a message for
Since
President
I'm
Trump?
like a quarter of his age.
Do you have anything else you'd like to say to
He's an
him?
old man losing his mind. I don't know why he's obsessed with me.
Interesting. Well, thank you, Congresswoman.
Yeah, I hope he gets help.
Thank you.
There you have it. There you have it. Can I just need to double back here. Can I play the intro to this clip? President Trump has always been a racist and a xenophobe.
He's always been a racist, a bigot, a xenophobic, and Islamophobic.
I don't care. Can I just be honest? I just don't care. Listen, whatever it takes to save this country and get these third world immigrants out of the country. Goodbye. You can call him, you can call me, you can call anybody, whatever her name. I mean, it's like she has a dictionary open. He's a racist, xenophobe, Nazi, fascist, dictator, authoritarian. Did I say xenophobe, bigot? He's a bigot. It's like she has like a checklist. She has a scroll checking the box. Listen, I don't care. I don't care. In fact, I made a post. I said this on X or Twitter the other day. Seemed like a lot of people liked this post. I said, if we want to save the Republic, if we want to actually save the Republic, we are all going to have to get a little bit more comfortable with being called racist. Do you agree? There's really no other way to save the Republic than to get called racist a couple times by far left radical members of the Democrat Party. Or by, it's like, listen, if somebody who shouldn't even be in the country in the first place calls me a racist, it's like, well, who cares? You're not American. You shouldn't even be here. You shouldn't be here. In the same way that does anybody watch Asmongold? This is something Asmongold always says. He says, if you're walking down the road and a dog starts barking with you, are you going to let it ruin your day? No, it's a damn dog. It's a dog. What, are you going to sit here and try to psychoanalyze? Why was that dog barking at me? Did I do something wrong? Is there something wrong with me? The dog is barking. No, it's a dog. Who cares if a dog barks at you when you're walking down the road? It's a damn dog. You don't need to psychoanalyze it. You've got shit to do. You've got other stuff to do. You got to get on with your day. You know? It's kind of how I feel about it. This is Republican House Representative Tom Emmer. He issues 2 minutes scathing statement about Tim Walz. But real quick, by the way, I want to make sure that I'm not missing this. Hold up here. Where were we? Hold that thought, because President Trump is scheduled to come out here. He's going to be giving his announcement here any minute now. I just want to make sure that we don't miss this. Okay, we are outside the White House. He's scheduled for 10 minutes. Oftentimes, President Trump is a little bit late. That's fine. Not late. You know, maybe it's us. We are early. Maybe we are the ones who are early. But I just want to make sure I don't miss this. So we're good.
Bill is not racist, and it's not unfair. Look, this guy is pathetic. He is incompetent. He's a pathological, sociopathic liar. He lies about everything. Got caught on national TV, Bill, lying about something as dumb as when he was at Tiananmen Square. And his response to that back then was, you know, I grew up in a small town. Sometimes I'm a bit of a knucklehead. Look, my hat is off to President Donald J.
He also lied about being an active duty combat veteran. He is in fact a veteran, but he lied about seeing combat. He did not see combat. Everyone kind of gave him the pass for that. It's like, dude, listen, this guy seems like a liar. He's just lying up and down, left and right.
Trump. We have been trying to sound the alarm on this fraud that has been going on since the beginning of the Walz administration for more than 3 years. And it wasn't until Donald Trump sent his truth out a couple weeks ago that everybody started paying attention. You have correctly pointed out, it's already more than $1 billion that these fraudsters stole from Minnesota taxpayers under Tim Walz's watch, and the number is growing. It's not just the $250 million fraud case, the largest pandemic fraud case in the country that's feeding our future. It's Medicaid housing fraud. You go back, it's autism centers, the list goes on and on, daycare fraud. But let's just look at the housing one. The housing Medicaid housing program was created back in 2020. They estimated it was going to cost annually about $2 million. You know what? From 2020 to 2024, it was $100 million, and they shut the program down in October of 2025 because from the beginning of the year, they'd already sucked out $61 million. And this idea that it's not going to al-Shabaab, they're sending the money back to Somalia, Bill. People should understand, al-Shabaab controls the financial infrastructure in Somalia. It is going back to Somalia where al-Shabaab, the terrorist organization, is in charge.
Okay, so at the moment, I just want to...
You know, something comes to mind here. I think it's fair to say we have all types of parasites. Our country is like a beast that is riddled with parasites. We've got tapeworms, we've got ticks sucking our blood, we've got leeches. We are a parasite-riddled country right now. I hate to say it, but it is the case. Just, hey, listen, parasites, little bit of a message here. I have a message to the parasites that are sucking the life force out of this country. If the country dies, so too do the parasites, okay? And I guess parasites are not known for being critical thinkers. They're not known for being geniuses, but just a little bit of a message here. If the beast dies, so too do the parasites whose lives depend on the existence of the beast. It's like, man, I don't know. But you know what? Maybe their goal is to have the beast die. Maybe they want the beast to die. Maybe they want the country to die. Maybe the goal is to extract so much wealth, so much life force, energy, money in this case, out of the country that maybe they want the country to die. Maybe they're not thinking long term. Maybe they do short term. We got to kill the country. Maybe that is the objective here. Maybe that is what it is.
So, you know, I was thinking about this because we get so many people from all over the world. Is the problem country of origin, or is it the vetting process?
Well, it's both, especially under the Biden administration. We saw with this terrorist here, he was barely vetted. There was no biometric vetting. There was no criminal background check, cyber background check, financial background check. Really, they took some people and he just took them at their word. That's a huge problem. And it really can't be overstated what the Biden administration did to this country and putting it in danger. So I would say absolutely the vetting process is an issue, but these countries of origin too. We're looking at the data. Secretary Noem is certainly looking at analysis there and saying, is it the country of origin? Are these people really taking advantage of our system, defrauding the American taxpayer, using our social security net really as a hammock and taking advantage of the American people?
Right.
You know, I'm going to tell you something. He raises a very curious question. Is the big problem here country of origin or a vetting problem? Of course, some amount of vetting is always needed, predominantly like at a rate of like 90 or 95%. The problem is a country of origin problem. Do we all agree on this? I'll give you an example. there are certain countries on this planet where we actually like probably wouldn't really need to vet immigrants from those countries at all. Maybe a little bit, but it wouldn't have to be too thorough. You know, we wouldn't really have to vet immigrants from Switzerland, for instance. We should make sure they're not, I don't know, but Swiss immigrants are like not really causing problems. German people, like white ethnic German people coming. Nobody's really blaming ethnic Germans coming in the country, ruining the country, you know? And it's not even maybe a white person thing, you know, even like a run-of-the-mill Japanese person. Japanese people coming in the country, they're not really causing problems. They're not. Frankly, they're just not. Seems like Somalian immigrants are. Seems like Afghani immigrants are. Seems like Nigerian, Congolese. Seems like they are. There's some, seems like, you know, Pakistani. They are. And so, you know, I think always in every case, we do need a certain amount of vetting, no doubt, but predominantly it is a nation of origin problem. It is. It really, really is. This is to say the vetting we need to properly, safely bring in Somalian immigrants is 100-fold, 100 times the vetting we would need to safely bring in a Swiss immigrant. Let's put it that way. I think we can all kind of agree on this.
This situation, the Somalians in Minnesota, it's a money laundering, racketeering operation under these progressives like Waltz that just look the other way. Plus in New York City, Mandami, he's a Ugandan Marxist jihadist, okay? The Muslims are now in control of New York City. Do you see the pattern recognition? This is going to become the major issue. President Trump, the lead story in Daily Mail, lead story in the New York Post, overnight President Trump says, I've had it. And you saw yesterday at the, maybe we have time to play it later, at the cabinet meeting, he hit him with both barrels. I don't want these people coming in the country. I'm not going to allow these people to come into the country. Andrew Colvett puts up and very brilliantly saying, hey, President Trump's not just reawakening, but re-emphasis on this over the Thanksgiving holidays was one of the reasons that we had a game day blowout for a MAGA candidate who, by the way, had spent 9 combat tours as a young man coming out of West Point, where
in Tennessee,
the Iraq, Afghanistan, the Middle East, with the entire Islamic war we're fighting over there. So you see the pattern recognition? Can you connect some dots here? It ain't that hard.
Tennessee, we had a Republican congressman win in a 9-point margin. He did well for himself. During the recent presidential election, 2024, Tennessee was plus 22 points, 22 points up for Trump in the 2024 election. This Republican congressman happened last night, won. He beat out the Democrat in a 9-point margin. So people are saying, it should have been higher, whatever. You know, it's good he won. There is a reality here, though. I think everybody knows this. If Trump is not on the ballot, Republicans tend to not turn out. Trump is the catalyzing factor. Trump is kind of carrying the entire party on his back right now. It will be very interesting to see what happens to this party. What happens to the Republican Party in 2028 presidential election? And, of course, in 2028, we've got House seats up for grabs, certain Senate seats up for grabs, too. And then also thereafter in 2030 or 2032, it's going to be very interesting to see how this Republican Party transitions forward after Trump is kind of out of the picture here. Really, I think the best way to ensure the long-term success of the GOP, of the Republican Party, we got to get rid of the rhinos. We got to get rid of the rhinos. Nobody likes these people. Get them out. We got to get them out of here. And then also, if you want to talk about immediate success, you want to talk about polling numbers, what are Trump's approval ratings? Let's talk about midterms, 11 months from now. What is a surefire, guaranteed way to win? Stop talking about Ukraine. Stop talking about Israel. Stop talking about pretty much everything other than mass deportations. Get these people out of the country. Everybody knows. Listen, talk about how terrible third world countries are. Talk about how stinky Ilhan Omar is. Talk about mass deportations. Talk about more troops on the ground. Talk about National Guard deployments. Talk about, listen, we have 19 countries that have been shut down now. Third world countries, immigration is done. Double it. Make it 38. Make it 40. Make it 45. That is the winning strategy for midterms 11 months from now. Because if we don't, it is going to be tough. But you are hearing from Americans of all age brackets primarily young Americans, but older Americans too, people kind of have fatigue insofar as talking about foreign geopolitical issues go. Americans, rightfully so, are saying, listen, hey, can we please actually stop talking about Israel? Can we talk about America for a minute? Can we sort of please stop talking about Ukraine? That's great. That's terrible, whatever. But my town has been overrun by third world immigrants, and I want all of them to be deported now. So can we make that happen, please? Thank you very much. Crime in my town has skyrocketed by nature of 10 million Somalians or 10 million Guatemalans. Can we talk about getting rid of them, please? That is what people want to hear about. That is what people want to hear about right now. Domestic issues. And, by the way, that is exactly what we're starting to hear about. Ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to get to a fun part of today's broadcast. Tom Homan has confirmed last night that ICE is surging in Minneapolis as of yesterday afternoon. Take a look.
Secretary Noem just talked about, just elevated their priority status. So, yes, there's going to be an increase of activity up there, and we're going to hold people accountable. We're going to enforce the law without apology. So, again, I've told every sanctuary city mayor, governor, you can stand aside and let us make your community safe and remove criminals and even legal aliens that commit crimes that make themselves, if they're a resident alien, they commit a certain offense, a felony offense, even they're deportable and they'll be deported. We're going to enforce the laws of this country without apology, including in the Twin Cities.
When do you expect ICE to make its presence really known in the Twin Cities, Tom? Approximately.
I can't forecast that. I don't want to give up operations, but
You know why he's smiling? You saw that little smirk on his face? It's because the answer is now. The answer is literally right this very moment. And I'll show you. I have proof. We have footage coming from on the ground. The deportations in Minneapolis, all over Minnesota, are underway now.
I can tell you that, Secretary Noem's all over it. I know ICE and CBP and other federal agencies, the FBI, DEA, ATF. President Trump's been a genius on this. He brings the all of government to these operations. So if we arrest an alien with drugs, you got the DEA right there, can prosecute the case before we deport him. If you get him with a gun, you got ATF right there to prosecute the case before we deport him. But I can tell you, focus is there. It's coming. But I don't want to give a lot. I can't tell you how many people are on the ground now, how many people are going to be on the ground. I'll leave that to the Secretary of Homeland Security. But focus is on those Twin Cities more because of the criminal activities been uncovered by DOJ and DHS.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I'll just show you this. This is Omar Fateh, who was a recent Minneapolis mayoral candidate. He actually ended up losing to Mayor Frey here. We're going to listen to him. But first, I want to show you this. Like I said, we have reports on the ground. He posted, Somalian Omar Fateh, he posted earlier today, ICE has been seen all over Minneapolis, abducting our neighbors from the streets and their homes as a part of their operation. Please share this thread with your friends and neighbors to make sure they have access to resources to protect each other. It's already happening. And if you don't believe me, I have a couple videos prepared I want to show you. Here's the first one. Minneapolis right now. The deportations are already happening. Somalians are getting snatched off the sidewalk, getting snatched out of their houses. Time to go. Time to go back to Somalia. And they're peeling out. Looks like they got one or two there. And that's a Somalian recording. We have more. This was earlier today also. This one's a little bit small. In St. Paul.
Yes.
In the apartment complex.
They run. Yeah. Ha.
Hakmala, sugabala, hakamagabagabala.
And the police is on its way, yeah.
They're trying to snatch somebody up there.
Way arren ice wallah. Way joogaan wallah. baabuurtooda ku carareen laakiin yeah.
What a language.
Ice waaye guriga maxamed daawudaan ka ceerinay yeah.
Everybody, real quick, who's your favorite Somalian philosopher? Who's your favorite Somalian architect? Who's your favorite Somalian painter? Who's your favorite Somalian athlete? Who's your favorite Somalian Nobel Prize laureate? Who's your favorite Somalian inventor? Like inventing literally anything ever. Who's your favorite Somalian poet? Who's your favorite Somalian playwright? Who's your favorite Somalian author? Who's your favorite Somalian politician? Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar is my favorite Somalian politician.
Yep. Focus. Wow.
So they're out there. We got boots on the ground. Ice spotted near Robbinsdale. 2 Somalian women were pulled over. ICE is driving cars, mom cars. Beware. Good. Snatch them up. Snatch them up. Now, Mayor of Minneapolis, Mayor Frey, who recently won re-election, he issues a statement to his Somalian constituents. You folks need to hear this.
Our Somali community. Daman Shabka, Somaliad Kunul, Minnesota, Garahan, Minneapolis, Waan, Kuji Janila Hai, Waan, Ku Gereb Taganahan. We love you. We stand with you, and we aren't backing down.
For his part, Governor Tim Walz says he welcomes the federal investigations, even though he...
Abaguba, Gibi Gabi Shakmala, Anga Bunga Dungo Pungo, Gibi Gabi Dungi Poopy Doopy, Poopy Diaper, Gibi Gabi Minnesota, Poopy Diaper. Dude, are you serious? Like, are you serious? Like, dude, are you serious? Are we really doing this? He's... Yeah, there he is. Yeah, we are doing this. Yeah, we are actually doing this. So maybe he needs to be deported also. So anyway, Trump, I found another one. To deport. You got to denaturalize this guy too. Ladies and gentlemen, folks, we are waiting for President Trump to come out. Trump is going to be coming out, giving his bombshell announcement, probably relating to immigration. That's what everybody is speculating right now. It's going to have something to do with immigration. Really, any minute. He is 8 minutes late. So any second, he's coming out. Any second now. Until then, we've got stuff to talk about. President Trump also did something unrelated to immigration. Well, kind of. That really is a pretty big deal. Yesterday afternoon. Take a look at this. President Trump posted on Truth Social yesterday afternoon. Any and all documents, proclamations, executive orders, memorandums, or contracts signed by order of the now infamous and unauthorized Otto Pen within the administration of Joseph R. Biden Jr. are hereby null and void and no further force or effect. After receiving pardons, communications, or any other legal document so signed, please be advised that said document has been fully and completely terminated as of now and is of no legal effect going forward. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So this is, of course, everybody is focusing on the pardons. Pardons. Now we can maybe see some criminal action. But what is perhaps even more interesting to me than the pardons, of course, the pardons are a big deal. Ladies and gentlemen, Justice Brown, Ketanji Brown, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, she was confirmed on the Supreme Court by the Otto Pen. We have a sitting Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson, who was confirmed by, I kid you not, Joe Biden's auto pen. We might be making a case here to kick Ketanji Brown Jackson off of the Supreme Court. That is where this is going. It's more than overturning Joe Biden's executive orders. It's more than the pardons. We might be getting rid of Ketanji Brown Jackson. That might be the way things are going. Now, I do want to say real quick, if you are tuning into my chat and you are spamming, don't do that. You can post pretty much whatever you want. Post it one time. Just stop spamming. Don't do that. Nobody likes it. I feel like every time somebody's spamming in my chat, have you ever boarded up onto an airplane and you're walking back down the aisle, you're looking for your seat. My seat is D19. Where's D19 or D7 or whatever it is? And you're looking for your plane and boom, you find your seat. And who's sitting right next to you on the airplane? Some guy who's morbidly obese and his fat rolls are overflowing into your seat. And you got to like wedge in there next to this fat guy and his rolls are overflowing into your seat. And then you're brushing up on this guy's fat rolls for the entire flight. Anyway, that's how I feel every time somebody is spamming my chat. It's like, dude, you're just taking up space. You're spamming the chat. You're taking up space. You're taking up everybody's space. You think your space is more important than everybody else's space in the live chat? Come on. Come on. Give everybody some space. I don't know. Listen, you can post it once. I don't really care. I really am not too worried about what you guys post in here. I kind of let you guys let it fly, but you're just taking up space. Man. Anyway, by the way, speaking of people being fat, can I say something? I saw that for the first time in like 20 years, the national obesity rate is going down. It went down 2%. 2%. Americans are getting thinner. I kid you not. Americans are losing weight. For the first time in 20 or maybe 30 years, our country is tightening up, slimming down. And the first thing I thought of was Ozempic. Yeah, it's probably Ozempic or something else like that. There's all these different Ozempic drugs. They're all kind of similar. There's like 50 different versions now. It's probably Ozempic. But you know what? I guess, I don't know. Do it. I'm not going to cast any judgment. I'm not going to shame anybody for taking Ozempic. I don't know. It is what it is. Do your thing. Do your thing, I guess. Yeah, maybe RFK, the Department of Health, maybe they're having some success. Good. Do it. Of course, if you're taking Ozempic, also try to have a good diet and cut back on the slop a little bit. Try to cut back on the slop a little bit, but okay. Now, speaking of slop, speaking of people buying slop to eat, Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins yesterday afternoon announced at yesterday's cabinet meeting that over 80,000 people have officially been removed from the SNAP program. 500,000 people were receiving double benefits. 500,000 instances of double dipping into the SNAP program. People, that's just like stealing. 186,000 dead people were receiving benefits. And by the way, what does this mean? If we have 186,000 dead people receiving benefits, what does this mean? This means that let's say I'm a young guy, I live with my grandma, grandma passes away, and grandma was on SNAP, but after she passes away, I keep on taking her, I don't report that, and I keep on taking her SNAP benefits. That is what is going on. That's what's been going on for a long time. Your relative who was on SNAP passes away, and I say, I'm not gonna give up the SNAP. So I'm going to keep on getting Gram's SNAP benefits or whatever, right? Situations like this. So almost 200,000 dead people were getting SNAP benefits. People receiving benefits in 6 different states were wrapped up in this.
Which became very much a part of the national conversation during the Democrat shutdown was SNAP reform, food stamp reform. When all of America saw what so many of us know and have been working on, but when you have so much rampant fraud in a program that 42 million Americans participate in, now a big good piece of news that I hope is written about, since you became president, about 800,000 of those 42 million have moved off of food stamps, which is hopefully hopefully the plan with better jobs, higher wages, et cetera. But still, when we found 186,000 dead people or dead people's Social Security numbers being used, 500,000 people receiving benefits more than twice. We had a couple of people receiving benefits in 6 states. In February of this year, we asked for all the states for the first time to turn over their data to the federal government, to let the USDA partner with them to root out this fraud, to make sure that those who really need food stamps are getting them, but also to ensure that the American taxpayer is protected.
So right now, 22 different individual blue states, sanctuary states, far left states, they are actually refusing to turn over the SNAP enrollment data, the logs. They're refusing to turn that over to the federal government. Brooke Rollins and her Department of Agriculture, the Trump administration, they are actually filing lawsuits against 22 of these blue sanctuary states in order to get a hold of these SNAP enrollment logs. What do you want to bet that in the very near future, after these lawsuits play out, the federal government finally gets a hold of these enrollment logs from these blue states? What do you want to bet that we have millions of illegal aliens that have been receiving federally funded, federal taxpayer funded SNAP benefits? And God forbid, I'm sure all types of other federally funded benefits as well. Truly astounding. I'm positive of it. The Trump administration announced yesterday that while these lawsuits are ongoing, even better, the Trump administration is just going to be pulling federal benefits from these states. Listen, you can either comply, you can hand over the information, the enrollment logs, or we're just going to stop giving you federal funding. So there you have it. That's news yesterday. That's where we currently stand. That is where we currently stand. Now, I see a big super chat. I'm having some trouble doing super chats today because there's all these YouTube issues. I was talking about that. That's why I wasn't here yesterday, but I can see some of them. Sherry Zylak, she says, Matt, your laugh is contagious. I smile every time I hear it. Thank you. You are laughing at my broadcast. Hey, this is a serious political commentary broadcast. You are not supposed to be laughing. No, thank you, Sherry. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. You're always here. I see you here every day. Thank you very much for that. Polly Puree, speaking of someone that is here every day, she says, Arabs are considered white by anthropologists and the U.S. Census. I have seen that. Also, a lot of Hispanics. You see time and time again, you see like a very dark-skinned Hispanic person will commit some terrible crime, and you'll look at the crime report, and it'll say ethnicity, white. And I'm just like, wait a minute. Hey, wait a minute. I've even seen black guys. I've seen black guys. They committed crime. It's like, dude, you're like right out of Africa. You are dark as hell. And you look at the crime report and it says ethnicity, white. And I'm like, what in the living hell is, hey, listen, man. Hey, you're making us look bad. Hey, listen, you're making us look bad as a white person. If you're gonna say you're white on the crime report, at least stop committing crimes. If you're gonna pretend to be one of us, at least stop committing crimes because you're making us look bad. So here's really my advice: just stop committing crimes. Really, regardless of what race you are, black, white, yellow, purple. I don't know how many different races are there? Black, brown, white, yellow, red. Purple, green, I don't know. There's all different blueberry. There's all different types of races. And here's my advice to all of the races collectively. Just stop committing crimes. Don't do that. Just don't do that. Just be nice. Everybody should just be nice. Regardless of what race you are. We got to stop doing that. Anyway, no, this is a massive problem. Yeah, where non-white criminals are being designated as white criminals. We've all seen this time and time again. Time and time again. It's true. Speaking of criminals, yesterday afternoon, crazy story. An anti-ICE individual with a known criminal record has been arrested for throwing Molotov cocktails at a federal building in Los Angeles. Go figure, huh? Really?
We also have breaking news in downtown L.A., where a man has been arrested accused of throwing Molotov cocktails at a federal building. Scott Wright is live on Air 7 with those details. Scott.
Really?
Yeah, Philip, so things are quiet here right now in front of the federal building in downtown Los Angeles. It was not the case yesterday. A 54-year-old man threw 2 Molotov cocktails at ICE agents. Now, fortunately, he forgot to light them, so no one was injured. There is no damage.
He forgot to light them. Dude. I mean, okay, like, first off, thank God he was so stupid as to not light them so nobody got injured. But really, really? Are you that stupid? He forgot to light the Molotov cocktails. Astounding. Truly astounding.
But that man was taken into custody. He has an extensive record. He said he wanted to blow up the building and spray down the agents. So he's looking at some very, very serious charges.
Blow up the building, spray down the agents. He forgot to light the Molotov cocktails.
Now, we've seen over the last couple of days, we've seen those gunmen that were ambushed. The gunmen ambushed 2 National Guardsmen in Washington, D.C. So tensions are extremely high. Ever since President Trump put into effect his immigration policies, the ICE agents' interaction with the general public has been tough. And to give you an idea, assaults against ICE agents and federal agents is up 10 times, and death threats is up 80 times. This, and I believe the LA City Council is in the process of possibly passing a law in which ICE agents would not be able to wear their masks. Trying to enforce that may be a different issue.
Yeah.
But certainly tensions are high. We saw that yesterday with 2 Molotov cocktails being thrown at agents here at the federal building.
So first off, just a couple points here. Is the plan here to blow up this entire massive building that is the size of one entire city block, maybe 2? The plan is to blow up the building with 2 Molotov cocktails because that's just like not going to happen. Then, of course, he forgot to light the Molotov cocktails. A little reminder, this is the building that we all were tuned into probably 5 or 6 months ago during the summer of 2025. Remember when we had all of the anti-ICE riots in Los Angeles? This is the building where the National Guardsmen were deployed. Right outside this building. So this building is now becoming infamous. I'm going to guess. Can I just take a guess here? I am going to guess that this would-be terrorist or would-be arsonist was probably not white. Can I guess that? Is it safe to guess that? That's my guess. I was watching it. My wife and I, we were watching a police chase in Los Angeles also, and they always have the aerial footage tracking, following the police car and the guy who's running away. My wife and I, the other day, we were watching a police chase, and the car pulls over to the side of the road, and the guy gets out of the car, and he makes a run for it. He's running away, and you can tell it's clear as day. It's a black guy. Incidentally, it was a black guy who bailed out of the car. He's running away. The police are chasing him, and it's like he's like very clearly a black guy. The camera was zoomed in. You could see it. And the guy in the helicopter, the reporter, he goes, and it appears to be a dark-skinned white man. Well, and he's on the run now. He appears to be a very dark-skinned white man. And I look at my wife and she looks back at me and I'm like, what in the hell is going on here? What is going on here? Anyway, the term people use is clown world. We live in the clown world. 2025 is clown world. And what that means is everywhere you look, it's like everybody else is just a clown. It's nonstop clowns. Honk, 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 honk. They're driving their clown cars around. They've got makeup. They've got their little red nose on. We really do live in the clown world. And the terrorist forgot to light his own Molotov cocktails, and so he was quickly apprehended by the police. Yeah, clown world. We really do. We really, really do. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are waiting for President Trump. He is actually at this point about 24 minutes behind schedule. 24 minutes behind schedule right now. That's okay. He's going to come out. He is going to be making a massive announcement today. A massive announcement today. Everybody is speculating the announcement today is going to be pertaining to immigration, something relating to immigration. Trump has kind of been going all out, scorched earth on immigration. And so that's what people are expecting. Now, this announcement was actually thrown onto his public presidential calendar late last night. It was probably midnight, which is kind of late. Normally, they release the public schedule Trump's daily schedule, they released that publicly much earlier than that, earlier on in the day. So this announcement today was thrown on at like midnight, maybe 1 a.m, East Coast time, that is. And so I don't know. We got to see. Hopefully it's something good. We want to hear more about immigration. We want to hear more about mass deportations. We want to hear more about how terrible the third world is. That's all we want to see. Now, I wonder if we can pull up, can we go ahead and pull up the official White House page? Oftentimes they will. Oh, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, can I show you something here? I am logged into an alternative account right now. I'm not on my main YouTube account. I am allegedly YouTube featured. I'm featured by YouTube. I've never seen this. I didn't even know this was a thing. Have you guys seen this before? I'm looking at my own broadcast here. Matt Morris TV is live. YouTube featured. That's a new thing. I've never seen that, at least. So that's cool. That's kind of cool. And right now, I think also right now on Rumble, we are also Rumble featured. We're featured everywhere. We're featured on Rumble. We're featured on YouTube. If only YouTube could fix this bug. There's I'm not going to get into the technical details, but yet the reason why I wasn't here with you guys yesterday covering all of yesterday's news was I was having massive YouTube related bugs, some massive issues. I spent like 5 or 6 hours yesterday trying to bug fix these problems. And the problem is actually still here today. I'm still dealing with it now, so I'm kind of in a bad mood. But I got things working at a basic level at least, so things are kind of weird today, though. Anyway, so YouTube, yeah, hey, fix this bug. I'm getting pissed off. And there's Mr. Beast. And there's Mr. Beast. And this is a video about the Antichrist or something. I don't know. Anyway, right now, President Trump is coming on out. Now, I do have this bug, and it's making it very difficult to manage my super chats right now, but I think maybe I can actually pull up super chats if I do it another way, because I want to hear what you beautiful folks in the audience have to say. And I think I can actually do this, because we have a minute here, and now's probably a good time to do it. Paula Tobin says, Matt, you were missed yesterday. Oh, Paula, you're too nice to me. Thank you very much. I'll tell you what, like, I'm not really an angry guy. I don't get angry. I don't punch holes in the drywall. I'm really a very calm guy. But when I have tech difficulties, if there's news to talk, I'm trying to go live and get my video out and do my live broadcast, and then there's some tech problem, ooh, man, that really gets me going. That really Brussels my sprouts. Ooh, that really gets me simmering. So I was in a bad mood yesterday. I spent 6 hours trying to wrestle with YouTube, and at the end of it, nothing even came of it. I wasn't even successful. So, but we are back kind of today. I got a working kind of workaround here today. So, but I'm happy to be back. Hey, thank you very much. Thank you, Paula. Thank you very much. David Hughes, he says, the Democrat terrorist organization marks all crime as white to push a narrative. Yeah, that does kind of seem to be the case. Where they are, they're representing certain types of crime in certain ways and other types of crime in other ways. Yeah, that kind of seems to be the case. If you look at some of this data, according to some of this fudged progressive, really it's propaganda, they'll say that, you know, white supremacists are the most dangerous threat to the country, according to the data. And it's like, wait a minute, what data? Where? Can I just say something? I feel like white supremacists, they like kind of, do they even exist in some organized criminal way? Are white supremacists, like, is the KKK marching through the streets burning crosses? Are there neo-Nazis running through the streets, like opening up concentrate? Like, I feel like this is not really happening. For as much as we hear about this in the media, well, the white supremacist, it's like, well, where, like, what are they doing? What are they doing? Where are they? I just don't really see them. What I do see is illegal alien crime. I see cartel violence. I see radical Islam jihadist violence. I see a lot of cartel violence. I see a lot of immigrant illegal alien violence. But I don't really see this this white supremacist criminal organized violence. I don't really see that. I don't know. Now, I'll tell you a little kind of side story. I'm younger. I'm 31. I have been told by everybody that's older than me that in Oregon and Washington back in the 80s and 90s, late 70s, there was a big like neo-Nazi skinhead presence. Most certainly not in my life. In my life, Oregon and Washington is like super far left Antifa. It's like Antifa people. That's my entire life. But I don't know. Rumor has it. This is what I've been told. I don't know. I don't even know if it's true. There was like a skinhead thing. I have no idea. I don't know. I wasn't there. Captain Danny Barrow, he says, I lost 100 pounds smoking crack years ago. It works. Okay, well, you know, congratulations on losing weight, but you should probably not smoke crack. No, not probably. You should definitely not do that. That said, I guess congratulations on losing the weight. Good job for you. I just want to go on the record here. I disavow smoking crack. I think you should not do that. That seems like a bad idea. Seems like a bad idea to me. You should not do that. Sherry, thank you again. Thank you very much. It is true. I've never known a fat crackhead. Has anybody here ever met a fat crackhead? No. A fat meth head? Nope. Of course, disavow meth, disavow crack. You should not do that. Matthew Finley, he says, I am a gay male conservative. I am so sick of how the left has become and what they are doing. This is unacceptable for America, and I completely support Trump 100%. I will tell you something, Matthew. By the way, nice name. Nice name. You're probably super smart. Thank you. I have seen so many gay men, actually like lesbian women also on the internet. I've had super chats like this, and seems like are super upset with how far the LGBTQ plus narrative has been pushed. It's sort of evolved beyond gay men and lesbian women just kind of doing their thing, and it's moved on to, you know, gender altering hormones for 9-year-olds and like all of this stuff. It's like, okay, this is not, I've heard a lot of gay people say this is not what it was supposed to be about. The movement of the 90s or the 80s, tolerance and acceptance, it's kind of moved on beyond that. I've seen this sentiment expressed a lot, and I'm sure it's more than that, but I've heard that a lot. Hey, thank you, Matthew. Thank you very much. Dee Dee Willingham, she says, it goes beyond me. Whites in Islamic. Yeah. This whole sort of mislabeling of criminals. Seems like it's a whole racket. It's been going on for a long time. Thank you. Shannon Brinson says, you know, all of those wild boars in Texas, got an idea. I've seen a lot of the helicopter hunting videos where guys will go up in helicopters and they'll shoot wild boars in the Texas countryside. Seems like these boars are actually a big menace. They're like ruining people's properties and yards and gardens and actually injuring people. They're breeding like crazy. The boars are a big problem. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you very much. Survivor's Voice, thank you very much, says, just want to express my gratitude for all you do. Always up to date, always real and honest reporting, and we do appreciate you so much. Survivor's Voice, first off, thank you very much for saying that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. You know, I'm doing my best. I'm just a one-man show. I'm just a humble one-man show. You know, I'll tell you all the time. I actually all the time, all day, I think to myself, man, how can I kind of expand my operation and bring more people in? I would pay people. I've got money to pay people to do work and kind of, you know, I don't know, do this or do that. But the problem is it's finding work for people to do. If I had good work that was productive, I would pay people to do it. The problem is finding work for people to do. But it is my goal. I want the Matt Morris broadcast to expand and I want to provide more and keep on doing more for you guys through all different venues. Maybe that would be TikTok or Instagram and YouTube and Shorts and maybe a news article website publishing. I don't know, but takes a game plan. I'm putting together a game plan. Thank you very much. My one objective is to provide more for you guys. That's what compels me. That's my goal. Wherever it is you might be, we're doing well on Facebook. got a pretty good Facebook presence. CR says it ruins countries. Mass immigration, mass unchecked immigration from third world countries. Absolutely. Absolutely it does. And by the way, I can't help but notice all of these countries that we are sort of competing against, Iran and Russia and China, are any of these countries similarly mass importing immigrants from the third world, from Africa, the Middle East, Latin America? It doesn't really seem like, is China industrially importing immigrants from India? Curiously, they are not. Is Russia industrially importing immigrants from the Congo? Very curiously, they are not. Is Iran, which is in a death battle against the United States, we were bombing their nuclear facilities a couple months ago, is Iran saying, man, we need more Guatemalans? Very curiously, they are not. You can't help but notice that, right? If we really need all these people, our entire country, for whatever reason, we need to have all these people coming in, then, and that's just like the fact of the matter, then you can't help but notice that none of our sort of enemies are doing the same thing. Curious. You can't help but notice that. Billy Baxter, thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the show. Right now, we are waiting for President Trump. He's coming on out any minute now. He is about 36 minutes behind schedule. That's fine, ladies and gentlemen. We are living on Trump time here. Thank you for tuning in. Robert, thank you. Thank you. Mr. Bunyer. Mr. Hal Haynes. Thank you, Mr. Hal Haynes. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. This is Rob Skates. He says, can you see the super chat? Yes. Okay, so super chats work. Kind of. I have to... Pretty much like today, kind of everything works, but I have to do it in a weird way. So it's just a little bit annoying today because of these YouTube tech issues, but it's good enough. It is good enough, I suppose. We are here today. I think YouTube is going to have to fix this problem on their back end, the problem that I have. Secretary Marco Rubio scorches the military-industrial complex yesterday evening. We'll take a look at this.
To an end, and I think the president should be commended for that, not attacked for it or criticized. Some of these people have this notion that our policy should be just continue to fund Ukraine in unlimited amounts for as long as the war takes. That's not realistic. That's not reality. And that's not going to happen. We've been saying that for a long time. Well, you can't sustain the scale and scope of it. And I also think it's realistic for Russia to continue this war for 4 or 5 years.
I would have thought on paper that Russia would have rolled over them in 3 weeks. And wow, the president at one point said...
What people forget, Sean, is that at some point in this war, Russia controlled substantially more territory in Ukraine than they do now. The Ukrainians, if you look at what that map looked like in March or April after the invasion, or May, 3 months after the invasion, and what it looks like now, the Ukrainians have pushed the Russians way back.
Maybe not, like a little bit back. I've been keeping tabs on these battle lines. Where's the front? How's it changing? A little bit back. A little bit back. Now, I don't know. Maybe I've got something controversial here to say because I know Russia is super evil. It doesn't really seem to me like Russia's primary objective is to kill as many Ukrainians as possible. They are at war. It's terrible. We want to wrap it up. Every single week, about 7,000 people die, totally unnecessarily. Needs to be stopped. Incredible commendations to Trump for trying so hard to stop this. Once again, it's not his war. That said, I'm just like a layman. I'm watching over the last couple of years. It doesn't really seem like Russia's number one objective is to kill as many Ukrainians as possible. And the reason why I say that, maybe I'm wrong. Let me know if you disagree. It seems like Russia, if they did want to just kill as many, like indiscriminately kill as many people as they wanted, I think they probably could kill more people if they wanted. They could, if they wanted, they could mass deploy their bomber ships and just start indiscriminately dropping bombs left and right on civilian villages. They haven't done that. It seems like they are trying to carry out a targeted military operation. This is a military campaign. It's a war. It doesn't really seem like they are deliberately trying to like genocide Ukrainians. Not to hand wave anything they've done or any of the death that has resulted as a consequence. But I think it is important to understand the dynamic as it actually is, because I think they could, but they have not, right? I mean, Lord, they've got nuclear weapons, right? If they just said, you know what, screw it, we're killing every Ukrainian, consequences be damned, they could just drop a nuclear weapon, right? They're not doing that. Now, I don't know if anybody else saw this, and I don't even know if this is true or not. Probably not, but we're making small talk here because we are waiting for President Trump. There was a viral thread, a big post on Twitter, on X, going around yesterday, 2 days ago, that was making the allegation that Ukraine is actually working with members of the European Union, France specifically, to develop a nuclear weapon. And that the reason why France specifically and Ukraine, they are sort of non-cooperative to a certain degree. They are kind of dragging their feet. It almost seems like they actually don't want this to wrap up. One of the reasons why, allegedly, and I'm not even saying I believe this, but I'm just telling you what I read. This was this post that was going viral the other day, was that they're trying to develop a nuclear weapon, that Ukraine wants a nuclear weapon, and that they're working alongside France secretly. Who the hell knows? As they say, the term is fog of war. The term is fog of war. And most certainly a guy like me, and I would imagine most people, unless you are like working in the CIA or the Department of War, this type of information, we just don't have access to. We just don't have access to it. So I guess in certain instances, the best thing we can kind of do is speculate and really just hope and pray that President Trump is able to bring this to an end. Really, the never-ending loss of life that has been going on here for almost 4 years now. It's just insane. Well over 1 million people. Well over 1 million people between Ukrainian combatants and civilians, and Russian combatants and Russian civilians. It's over 1 million combined if you look at both sides. A complete and total waste, loss of life. And it must, I guess credit must be given. It's not even Trump's problem to solve. This is a problem that Trump inherited. And he has taken it upon himself to try to fix the problem. Good for him. Good for him. If President Trump said, you know what, I have tried. I've spent 12 months working on this. And neither party seems to want to cooperate on this. So you know what? I'm walking away. I'm cleaning my hands of this. I don't even think Trump could be faulted. Trump couldn't even be blamed for that. You'd have to say, okay, you know what Trump tried? You can't make a horse drink water. You can put water in the trough, but if the horse doesn't want to drink water, then, it is what it is. Trump is trying to get these horses to drink water, and then it's even more complex than trying to get one horse to drink out of a trough. You're trying to get two horses to drink out of the same trough at the same damn time. It's already difficult enough to get one horse to drink. Now you're trying to get two of them to do it at the same time, right? It's complex. It's complex stuff. There's no doubt about that. It most certainly is. Now, you know what? While we have a minute here, there was another very curious piece of news that came out actually earlier today. And I want to share this with you folks. Hear me out. This is from President Trump's Truth Social page. He posted this earlier today. President Trump has just pardoned Congressman Henry Cuellar, who's a Democrat from Texas, Democrat congressional representative. Why? He's a Democrat. Why? Let's read through the post. For years, as President Trump posted this morning, for years, the Biden administration weaponized the justice system against their political opponents and anyone who disagreed with them. One of the clearest examples of this was when crooked Joe Biden used the FBI and DOJ to take out a member of his own party after highly respected Congressman Henry Cuellar bravely spoke out against open borders and Biden border catastrophe. Sleepy Joe went after the congressman and even the congressman's wonderful wife, Imelda, simply for speaking the truth about the border. It is un-American, and as I previously stated, the radical left Democrats are a complete and total threat to democracy. They will attack, rob, lie, cheat, destroy, and decimate anyone who dares to oppose their far left agenda, an agenda that, if left unchecked, will obliterate our magnificent country. Because of these facts and others, I am hereby announcing my full and unconditional pardon of beloved Texas Congressman Henry Cuellar and Imelda. Henry, I don't know you, but you can sleep well tonight. Your nightmare is finally over. It's pronounced Quailer. Apologies. I'm sorry, Henry and Imelda. I'm apologizing for mispronouncing your last name. Now, it makes you wonder if there is some 5-dimensional sort of Donald Trump deal-making going on here where President Trump, by nature of pardoning this individual who is a Democrat, who was hunted down and persecuted by the Joe Biden regime, makes you wonder if President Trump is kind of sort of negotiating a little ace in the hole here. He's got an ace up his sleeve. You know, if there's ever a tiebreaker vote in the House and we need one more person, well, hey, it's time to tap Henry Cuellar and say, listen, Henry, remember that time that I pardoned you after your own party hunted you down? I don't know. It's curious. We got to see what happens. I would speculate this is probably some 5-dimensional kind of backroom deal making that's gone on here. Wouldn't surprise me at all. As they say, that is politics. Now, I'm trying to see, you know, there's been a lot of super chats here on Rumble today. And frick, I don't think I can see any of my Rumble super chats. I'm trying to see here. Is there any possible way that I can see this? I apologize. I have had so many tech issues over the last 24 hours. I'm losing my freaking mind. I think I'm on top of the YouTube super chats, but on Rumble, I am having a big problem here. I'm going to put up the White House broadcast. So if you have super chatted over in Rumble, I want to say thank you very much. Hopefully I haven't missed too many of these. I am living in a world of tech issues right now. Now, I see a super chat on YouTube from Avelsgard, $25. He says, thank you so much, Matt. Appreciate all you do here. Hey, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you very much for tuning in. You know, I want to give a shout out here. I don't know how many of you guys watch this individual on YouTube. His name is Brandon Lehman. Does anybody know YouTuber Brandon Lehman? He's been pretty successful on YouTube as of late. He's kind of doing a similar thing that we're doing here. Conservative commentary videos. I don't think he's doing live broadcasts, but he's making videos. Brandon Lehman, he's been tuning into the show. He did a super chat the other day. He's on YouTube. I'm not sure if he's on Rumble yet. But anyway, we shared some nice messages the other day. He seems like a nice guy. Shout out Brandon Lehman if you're watching any of his videos. We were exchanging some nice messages the other day. Now, I'm curious what is going on here, because President Trump at this point, he is, folks, he is almost an hour late. He is almost an hour behind schedule here. And so I am going to look into what exactly is going on. I'm going to pull up the official White House page. Trump is set to make an announcement. White House. Maybe he's a little bit behind schedule. Really, that is the big show of the day. That's why we're here. You know, I came prepared. I had about maybe 45 minutes or an hour of stuff to talk about with you guys, but now it's like, listen, Trump, you got to come on out. PST and EST are different. Yes, I know that. Yes, I know that. Now, can I pull up Trump's, here, this is what we're talking about. President Trump is scheduled to make an Oval Office announcement at 2:30 p.m. EST. In fact, I can pull up Trump's official schedule. Trump schedule. Here's the official website. Take a look. This is all in EST, Eastern Time Zone, Eastern Time, 2:30 p.m. President Trump makes an announcement. Oval Office, White House press pool. So like I said, we are about 50 minutes. About 50 minutes. Yeah, it is now 3:20 Eastern. So you know what? The world is on standby right now waiting for President Trump. Rumor has it, folks, that that today's announcement is actually going to be relating to immigration. We're going to be having some immigration announcements. That's the word on the block. Oh my goodness, we actually have somewhat of a new report coming out here while we wait for President Trump. I want to pull this up for you folks. Take a look at this right here.
I'm just grateful that you're reporting it, and the reason that it's getting reported is because Donald Trump, President Trump, finally made this a national issue when he sent out a truth a couple weeks ago. We've been trying to sound the alarm in Minnesota for more than 3 years.
Yeah.
Everybody's focused right now on $1 billion plus in fraud that has been stolen from Minnesota taxpayers, and a lot of it allegedly has been sent to Al-Shabaab back in Somalia.
The terrorist group.
A terrorist group. But you know what we're not talking about today? Do you realize that, it's not that all Somalis are committing crimes, but 80% of the crimes being committed in the Twin Cities in Minnesota are being committed by Somalis.
Uh-oh.
And by the way, the FBI has been investigating Somali gangs in the Twin Cities now for months. I am grateful that President Trump has raised this to a national issue. This is it's kind of like a small version of what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were doing at our southern border for the last 4 years. Tim Walz is as corrupt as and incompetent as the day is long. You got $1 billion of fraud. You got the largest fraud case pandemic fraud case in the country.
80% of the crimes committed in Minnesota are Somalis. Can't make that up. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the official White House broadcast actually has gone live. So President Trump is coming out. It's almost like they just can't help themselves from engaging in piracy. They just can't help themselves from pirating things. They're pirating federal tax dollars. They're pirating boats off the coast of Somalia. Doesn't matter where they are engaging in piracy left, right, and center, up and down. They can't help themselves but do it. I am very happy that this entire Somalian fraud discussion is becoming nationally concerning. Everybody is talking about it now. This is probably 10 months ago. One of the very first videos I ever made, this is back before I was even on Rumble, one of the very first YouTube videos I ever made that really blew up and a lot of people were watching, hundreds of thousands of views. It was talking about the Somalian fraud ring where they were lying in Minnesota about feeding starving kids. It was the COVID era recovery money from the federal government. They were saying that they were feeding thousands and thousands of children, starving children every single week. And of course, it was all a lie. That was one of the first really popular videos I ever made talking about Somalian fraud. And back then, nobody had heard that story. 10 months ago, nobody knew about any of this. And now everybody's talking about it. Thank God, everybody is talking about it now. We gotta bring attention to this stuff. If we want to do anything about it, we got to actually bring attention to it. And so that's what we're doing here every single day on YouTube and on Rumble. And I couldn't do it without you guys. So, hey, everybody, thank you for tuning in. The more eyeballs on this stuff, the better the nation's going to be. The more people that are aware of what is going on. Yeah, Waltz knew. You're right about that. Tim Waltz knew. But the more people that are aware about all of this insane, crazy behavior that is going on in this country, the more quickly we're going to be able to do something about it, you know? Over the Thanksgiving weekend, I had my mom and dad in town. They are both Democrats. My mom and dad are both Democrats. And I asked them what they thought about all of this Somalian fraud. And they hadn't even heard about it. They had no idea. They said, what Somalian fraud? What are you talking about? Somalian fraud? Where? In Minnesota? Huh? What's going on? And I said, where are you guys getting your news? Well, every single day I read CNN and I watch MSNBC. I said, there's your problem. Yeah, Mom, Dad, I love you guys, but that right there is the problem. You're getting all of your news from CNN and MSNBC. They hadn't even heard about the Somalian fraud. They had no idea about it. It's not being put up in front of them every day on their news feed. It's the media's fault. It's the left-wing media's fault. Fox News is talking about it at this point. Of course, everybody, all of us here on the internet, on Twitter and X and YouTube and Rumble, all of us, you guys are clued in. We're all talking about it, but, in the left-wing propaganda little bubble they have over there, nobody in the left-wing propaganda bubble is talking about it. So, in fact, I was trying to tell them, and they like almost didn't even believe me. They're like, well, if this was a real story, I feel like I would have heard about it. Well, if there were really thousands of Somalians in Minnesota engaging in tax fraud, I feel like this is something I would have heard about. Well, except not, because you only watch MSNBC and CNN. So actually, no. Because you are just consuming propaganda all day. That's the way that it is. Now, folks, any second now, President Trump is going to come on out and he is going to, hopefully, we want to hear about immigration. Word on the block is that today's announcement is going to be pertaining to immigration. That is what we want to hear about, immigration. It might not be. They never let us know in advance what the news is going to be. You just got to wait and find out. Cindy Luhu drops a super chat on YouTube. She says, also, do you know about the Rumble block of Tim Pool, Steven Crowder, and a few others? Maybe you can get in there. The Rumble block of Tim Pool, Steve Crowder, and others. I'm not really sure what you mean by block. Like Rumble is blocking them? I don't think Rumble does that. So far, what I've seen on Rumble is they're pretty good about just letting everyone have a chance and putting everybody up and giving everybody a sort of a time to shine. You know what I mean? But I don't know. And maybe that's not even what you mean, but no, I'm not sure about that. No, I'm not sure. Matt, 10K watching. That's great. You know what's funny today? Because I'm having this YouTube bug, I have no idea how many people are tuning in. Normally, every day I can see when I'm live, I can see how many people are tuning in. There's a bug on YouTube. It's why I wasn't here yesterday. I have no idea how many people are tuning in. Hey, there might only be 100 people tuning in on YouTube today. I see there's 2,000 on Rumble. Shout out the Rumble guys. We love our viewers over on Rumble, but on YouTube, there might only be 10 people. I have no idea. I actually just have no clue. I got to take your word for that. And right now, President Trump is getting ready to come on out and tell us something. Hopefully about immigration. Oh, ladies and gentlemen.
You all set?
Turn the audio up here.
We're talking about cafe standards, a very big deal, very important. Today, my administration is taking historic action to lower costs for American consumers, protect American auto jobs, and make buying a car much more affordable for countless American families and also safer.
Okay.
We're officially terminating Joe Biden's ridiculously burdensome, horrible, actually, cafe standards that imposed expensive restrictions and all sorts of problems, gave all sorts of problems to automakers. And we're not only talking about here, we're talking about outside of our country, because nobody could do it. Nobody wanted to do it, and it was ridiculous, very expensive. It put tremendous upward pressure on car prices. Combined with the insane electric vehicle mandate, Biden's burdensome regulations helped cause the price of cars to soar more than 25%. And in one case, they went up 18% in 1 year. Today, we're taking one more step to kill the Green New scam. It's part of the greatest scam, probably, well, other than Russia, and a few others I could name. The greatest scam in American history, the Green New scam. And it's a quest to end the gasoline-powered car. This is what they wanted to do, even though we have more gasoline than any other country by far. And people want the gasoline car. They want everything. They want electric. They want to have lots of alternatives, but they do want the gasoline car. Right now, It's leading away by a lot. The car business is a very interesting business, but we want to keep it that way. I want to thank Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, Deputy Transportation Secretary Stephen Bradbury, as well as CEO of Ford, Jim Farley. Jim, where is Jim? Let's see. Hi, Jim. Congratulations. You're doing a great job.
Good job, Jim.
CEO of Stellantis, Antonio Filosa. Thank you very much, Antonio. Chairman of the National Automobile Dealers Association, Tom Castrita.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
very
Yes,
much,
sir,
Tom.
Mr.
Great to have you. And manager
He's
of
eager.
General Motors Orient Plant, John Urbanek.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Great to have you guys here. And you're going to say a few words in a minute about how ridiculous this was, but we've just freed you up. So you're going to have a good day. You're going to have a good number of years. Thanks as well to Senator Shelley Moore Capito, Ted Cruz, Kevin Cramer, Marsha Blackburn, Eric Schmidt, and Bernie Marino, as well as Representative Sam Graves, Vern Buchanan, Mike Kelly, Roger Williams, Lisa McClain, and Troy Balderson. All great people. These are great people. And I know there's a lot of support long beyond the people that are here. We had tremendous support on this. From day one, I've been taking action to make buying a car more affordable. I signed an executive order to end the unfair, expensive electric vehicle mandate. As you know, we had to have an electric car within a very short period of time, even though there was no way of charging them and lots of other things. It would have cost $5 trillion to build the charging plants. And as you know, in certain parts of the Midwest, they spent, to build 9 chargers, they spent $8 billion. So that wasn't working out too well. That was done before me, by the way. I wouldn't have let it go forward. We're canceling the EPA's absurd tailpipe emission standards, one of the most important things that I've never had a group of people come to me more powerfully and really just devastated that they had to do it. It was killing them than the automobile manufacturers, the tailpipe emission standards. And I can tell you, your people at Ford were coming to me all the time, and they were saying, like, please, it doesn't do anything, and it's killing us. And it's driving the cost through the roof. And we revoked Biden's emissions waiver for California so that California communists could not regulate the automobile industry and ruin the entire nation of automobiles. And they were doing that too. But we have that now under control also with your governor, who's got much more than he can control. Now, under the new rules being issued today by Secretary Duffy, the Department of Transportation will rescind the Biden fuel economy prices. And I hate to say that because they were really not economy. They were really, they were anti-economy. They were horrible what they were doing to the costs and actually making the car much worse. But these policies forced automakers to build cars using expensive technologies that drove up costs, drove up prices, and made the car much worse. The action is expected to save the typical consumer at least $1,000 off the price of a new car, and we think substantially more than that. Under the Trump administration, $70 billion are now being invested in the American auto industry. Ford has announced it will invest $5 billion across its Kentucky and Michigan plants. Is that a correct statement?
That's right.
That's a lot, $5 billion. You could do more. Creating at least 4,000 new jobs. Stellantis announced it will invest $13 billion to expand its U.S.-based manufacturing by more than 50% and open new manufacturing facilities across the country. And I think a big part of that is also the tariffs. Because of tariffs, they're coming in. Not only the automobile industry, AI, we're leading China in AI, we're leading everybody in AI, we're leading everybody in everything. We have the hottest country right now. I will tell you, a lot of political people behind me, great political people, very successful political people. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world. 1 year ago, we had a dead country, and now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And it started from November 5th, but it also started when we did the tariffs, and we've had tremendous support on the tariffs. It's bringing in trillions of dollars of wealth. It's bringing in national security. And I've stopped 8 wars, and of the 8 wars, 5 of them have been because of tariffs and trade. So they're very important. And General Motors plans to invest $4 billion as it brings its manufacturing back to the United States from Mexico. After falling by 5% under Biden, U.S. auto production has surged by 10% so far this year. You know, I won the auto workers vote, but now even the head of the auto workers said Trump is the greatest president we've ever seen. And he happens to be right about that. But we're protecting our auto workers, and we're making it easier for every family to afford high-quality cars. In other words, we're bringing automobiles back and the manufacturing of automobiles back into this country. We lost 52% over the years, 52% of our automobile manufacturing. You see it, closed factories all over the place. Now they're all opening up. They're being, in most cases, they're being knocked down, and new ones are being built in their place. And a big beneficiary is the state of Michigan, but South Carolina, even states that didn't really do too much with the automobiles, they're opening up plants. It's been amazing. So between automobile plants, AI plants, and plants of every other nation, really every other type, including chips, we're going to have a big percentage of the chip market very soon. Not because of the CHIPS Act, which was horrible and ridiculous, where we just gave these companies billions and billions of dollars and they just kept the money, but because of what we did with tariffs. They have to build here, otherwise they're going to have to pay tariffs. They won't be able to do business in the United States. And we're going to have a big percentage of the chip industry. As of about a year ago, 2 years ago, we had none. And now we're going to have a very big percentage when it all finishes out. So I'd like to ask Secretary Duffy to speak, and then Mr. Farley, and then Filosa, and Urbanik, and Castrita. And also we're going to ask some of our political leaders to speak, because let me tell you, they went out of their way. This was not easy.
All right.
And people were brainwashed. This is a green new scam. And people were paying too much for a car that didn't work as well. And now they're going to have a great car that's going to be environmentally friendly, but it's going to cost you a lot less, and it's going to work great. All of the nonsense is being taken out of the cars. So, Secretary Duffy, could you say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. President. So yesterday at the cabinet meeting, the president was talking about affordability, and the way that Democrats talk about affordability is a lie. Today is a perfect example of that. So these CAFE standards used what was contrary to the law. The Congress set a rule that says you have to look at combustion engines. Biden and Buttigieg actually did an analysis using Buttigieg used EVs and hybrids to come up with a 62 mile an hour per gallon standard, which I think the car companies will tell you is completely unattainable. So they spent a lot of money on technology trying to meet the unattainable standard, driving up the cost of a car, number one. And then number two, if they couldn't meet the unattainable standard, they had to trade for carbon, costing billions of dollars, and again, driving up the price of the cars. So, Mr. President, what Democrats were doing were not making cars more affordable, they were making them less affordable. The consequence of that is going to be that more Americans can afford to buy a new car, which means they're going to be safer on the roads because of all the great new technology we have that save lives. So we'll have less death on American roads. These rules are going to allow the automakers to make vehicles that Americans want to purchase, not vehicles that Joe Biden and Buttigieg wants them to build, which is important. But also, this is important for American jobs. The more cars we sell, the more jobs we have in this country. And so this is jobs, this is freedom, and this is common sense, Mr. President. So thank you for your leadership. And I appreciate what the Senate did with the big, beautiful bill and what we've done here today. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Big, beautiful bill is it's something. It's amazing. Wait till people see the benefits and the lower taxes that they're going to have, lower regulations. So, how about Ford?
Mr. President and Secretary, all the important lawmakers here, competitors, today is a victory of common sense and affordability. We're very proud of Ford to be the #1 auto producer in our country. 80% of the vehicles we sell here we make in our country.
Great.
And we never left, unlike many of our competitors. We're the #1 exporter, and we have the most auto factory workers. And this CAFE standard that is aligned with customer demand is the right move for a lot of reasons. We were #2 last year in EV sales, we were #3 in hybrid, and we're the leading brand for combustion. We believe that people should be able to make a choice, as you said, Mr. President, and we will invest more in affordable vehicles. This allows us to invest in affordable vehicles made in the U.S., which we will take the lead on, and will allow us to make vehicles more affordable. So thank you for making this step for all of you.
Thank you very much. One of the other things we're doing, it's separate from this meeting, but I think everybody here would agree with it. If you go to Japan, where I just left, and if you go to South Korea and Malaysia and other countries, They have a very small car, sort of like the Beetle used to be with the Volkswagen. They're very small. They're really cute. And I said, how would that do in this country? And everyone seems to think good, but you're not allowed to build them. And I've authorized the secretary to immediately approve the production of those cars. So you'll be able to buy they really are, they're actually, some of them are really beautiful, actually.
Yeah, sure.
You take a look, Honda, some of the Japanese companies.
I love those little
beautiful
Japanese trucks, little white ones.
We're not allowed
You've seen
to make
those?
them in this country, and I
think they're cool.
You're going to do very well with those cars. So we're going to approve those cars. Would you like to say something about that?
Well, no, just that he never stops working. So even when he's on Asian time, he's calling me at midnight in the States. But he gave me the directive to clear the regulations on this, to which we have. And so if Toyota or any other company wants to make smaller, more affordable cars, fuel efficient, we have cleared the deck so they can make them in America and sell them in America.
They're really nice and less expensive, and it really gives people a chance to have a car, have a brand new car as opposed to a car that maybe isn't so great. And so you car companies start thinking about that. I think it's going to be a tremendous market. Please, would you like to say something?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great day for us at Stellantis today, because it's the day where we see CAFE regulation reconciled with real customers' demand. That's why at Stellantis we decided to invest to Jeep, Ram, Dodge, and Chrysler $13 billion in the next 4 years, increasing production by 50%, delivering to the market 5 new vehicles, and creating 5,000 additional jobs. That's because we believe in what you, Secretary Duffy, and all your team is doing in this country. We believe in growth, and we are ready to invest even more. So thank you very much. Thank you very much also for this great news of the K cars, which we are very interested into. And we are very looking forward to work with Secretary Duffy, your team, in the future for the next steps. Thank you very much.
We'll get ready for those cars because we've already cleared the way. You can start right away.
We will. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Please.
Mr. President, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much.
We support your leadership for this issue that is so important to the auto industry. I'm here representing the hard-working men and women of Orion Assembly in Michigan.
Right.
The facility, our manufacturing facility there, is currently going through a retool so that we can build additional U.S. manufactured pickup trucks and full-size sport utilities for our customers, and we're so excited about that. And thank you for your support. Secretary Duffy, thank you as well.
And this is largely coming in because of the tariff situation. You know, we're taking in trillions of dollars, actually, trillions, and we have so many other advantages. But these great companies are coming back to the United States. They left the United States. If somebody was sitting behind this desk that knew what they were doing, that wouldn't have happened. They would have said, well, you can sell your car here, but we're going to put 100% tariff, and you would have never had the auto industry leave. Again, we lost more than 50% of our auto industry. And now it's all coming back, and I think it's coming back. Ultimately, it's going to be bigger. I believe it's going to be bigger than it was before, actually. But it's an honor to have you here. And
I hope so.
Please, would you like to say
Mr.
something?
President,
Thank you very much.
Tom Castriota, sir. I'm the chairman of National Automobile Dealers, and represent 18,000 dealers in the country.
Oh, wow.
Along with 3,000 heavy-duty truck dealers. And what the actions that you've done as the president and your administration is definitely going to save our customers money. And you made your promises that let the consumer buy what they want, sir, and you delivered on that. And the other thing that you delivered was your promise in the big, beautiful bill, the tax deduction on loans that had gone away some years back.
Right.
And now that makes it affordable for our buyers that can save money through that loan of the tax, anywhere from several hundred to several thousand. So again, sir, on behalf of all the dealers and our customers, we appreciate what you and your administration have done, and of course our legislative support as well, Mr. President.
Thank you. That's very nice, and I'm glad you brought that up. We're allowing people to deduct. So if you go out and buy a car, and this is for middle income, but for lower income, no matter what, they never really had deductions. You know, rich people like deductions, but middle income people were never really afforded deductions, which is very unfair. You borrow money to buy a car, you're allowed to deduct the interest from your income tax. And I think that's going to be one of the most, in terms of your industry, I think it's going to be the biggest thing that we're talking about, maybe even bigger than CAFE standards.
Yeah,
people are going to be able to borrow money, deduct it, so it's going to cost them essentially half. And they'll be...
It'll help, yes, sir.
I think it's going to be a tremendous factory. They've never had a chance to do that before. And that's all done. That's all in the great, big, beautiful bill. So it's really terrific. I'd like to ask a couple of our political leaders to say, because you guys have done an amazing job. This was something that was going to be very tough. We had to fight lunatics to get it done, and they had no answers. You know, it's you just present them with the facts, and they just say, well, we're just not going to vote for it. They couldn't talk about it, but they didn't want to vote. I see Mike Kelly, my friend back there, has been with me from day one, right?
Yep.
What do you have to say, Mike?
Well, you know what? I think you hit the key. Everybody's talking about the same thing.
You
In America,
look at the way they like each other. You can, you can see there's no hatred between these two guys.
No, as long as I beat his price, we're friends. No, but you hit it the nail on the head. The American people have always been able to choose what they want to buy.
Right.
They don't want to be taken out of a market by people who, quite frankly, don't even drive their own car, and saying this is the way you've got to go going into the future, and say, well, you may say that, but you're not in the market. You have no idea. And I know the business we're in. At the end of the day, if you were there with me, I'd say, Mr. President, other than price, what's keeping you from taking the car home today? It's always price. And the fact that we can build a car that's affordable, that people want to buy, that's the key to it. What you've done is unlock the most ridiculous statute that ever came in with CAFE. It wasn't done by the Congress. It wasn't done. It was done by President Obama after the courts failed on it. So thank you for doing what you're doing. You're making America great again in every single way. Thank you.
Thank you. It's going to be so big for the auto manufacturers. People aren't even going to believe the impact this has. You know, Mike used to come to my rallies all the time, and we'd have a rally. It was like 0 degrees. It was freezing everywhere, and he'd sit there without a shirt on. And I didn't need that, you know. I didn't say it was pretty, but he would sit there in the cold, and he didn't mind it at all. I said, "That's one tough cookie, right?"
You lit it up. We didn't need any heat. You were there.
We had a good time. We had a lot of great rallies.
We
right?
did. We did.
Pennsylvania. Please, Mr. Congressman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I represent the dealer, but I'm a dealer, and we got some other dealers in here. But this is huge for the dealer body, the local car dealer. We're going to be able to sell what the customer wants. The manufacturer's going to make what the customer wants. We've got all kinds of options to the big bill. It's going to enable people, as we talked about, to deduct payments and so forth. As we say in the business, they've never been cheaper than they are today, Mr. President. And it's going to be a great opportunity for the dealer body to sell what consumers want. And 99% of the businesses in America are small businesses. Many are car dealers, employ a lot of people. It's going to be a great year for us. We appreciate your leadership. And we appreciate, from a retail standpoint, we appreciate the manufacturers going to step up and build cars that customers want and that we want to sell. So thank you very much. It makes it a great country.
He's also a very brave congressman because he was there on the baseball field that horrible day with Steve Scalise and some other people. He was hit, but he took it very well. You took it very well. You're my pal.
Thank you.
Thanks. Great job.
Appreciate you.
Great job. Appreciate it. Kevin, could you say a few words of wisdom? One of the really smart economic forecasters, I will tell you, beyond an economist. He's
Kevin
a real
Hassett.
forecaster. Please.
Sir, I think that there's a massive macroeconomic benefit to what we're doing today. And the way to think about it is that the car that has the best gas mileage that you could buy that has only gasoline is a Honda that gets about 36 miles per gallon. Joe Biden wanted to make every car on average be above 50. So there's no car made in the U.S. that you would be able to sell 2 years from now, 3 years from now under that rule. Because what he wanted to do is make everybody have an electric car, as you know. But here's the thing, that if everybody had an electric car, then nobody would be buying gasoline anymore, and they'd have to take all the miles that they travel and put it on the grid. And so we would have to increase the production of electricity in the U.S. by 25% over the next couple of years if they had their way. And so you've really stopped a massive disruption for the economy with this.
Yeah, thank God.
Thank you, sir.
And that wasn't the main reason, and yet it certainly is a main reason. You wouldn't have been able to do it even if you wanted it. It's just so crazy. That was the mandate, which we ended. Troy,
That's
would you
insane.
like to say something?
Great honor, thank you. My family is a former dealer, 48 years, Chrysler Dodge dealer. And then I got into the political world, sir.
Yeah.
I had more fun in the dealership world, but I miss it. But I still play a big role in automobiles and grateful. I remember under President Obama when the CAFE standards changed, as Mike brought up, and going through those challenging times at the Chrysler dealer before Stellantis came along. It was Daimler before you guys got it. So thank you very much for being here and making these changes. And as you said, that interest on the car loan piece was big. And I know that Bernie led the charge on that in the Senate and getting the one big beautiful bill. That really is a big deal, and people need to understand how big a deal that is.
They did a great job. And by the way, we had a great victory last night. All to all.
Yes.
Yeah, Tennessee.
Matt Epps is going to be great.
Kind of like our race, huh?
He's going to be a great congressman. I think so. Really, like us, right?
Yeah, like us.
It's one of my early endorsements, right?
Yes, sir.
Can we talk about it? Yeah, right here is the man. Come in. Let me say hello to you. Please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President,
Thank you.
for your leadership. But the thing I've admired most, you've been in business, you've been in the battles over the years, and you're helping us lead us out. Most people that are up here have no idea about business or small business. It makes a big difference. One is. Number two is, I would just say in terms of the tax stuff we're talking about, one of the things that get missed, and I'm in Florida, Sarasota region, is the ability to deduct. Most people have a small business, they'll have a lawn business, they'll have this, that, they buy a new or used truck. They can take that deduction, let's say they're in a 20% tax bracket, but the vehicle's 60 grand, they can take 20% of the 60 grand and get a $12,000 write-off. They can pay their payments for the first year. That's a powerful tool we don't talk about, I don't know why, but at the end of the day, because of what you've put in place, full expensing, that's the tool that would use. And you could just think about all the people in Florida, just general places. They're buying old vans or new vans. They're buying trucks, mainly trucks, and they're getting a deduction. They don't even have a payment for a year.
That's right.
So it's one of the best things for
One
Florida.
of the biggest things in the bill.
Expensing is a powerful tool. They can write the whole asset off the first year, take that deduction, put $12,000 in their pocket on a $20,000. Well, let me mention one other thing. They got into the e-vehicles, electric cars. And I'm talking to dealers that come in and talk to me, and basically they couldn't sell one, they couldn't give one away, and when these companies or they got in because of whatever political pressure under Biden administration, and they end up realizing that they got no market. A guy says the car's been sitting there a year, I can't get rid of it. So they don't understand the market. The people produce the vehicles, and that's made a big difference in your leadership. But thanks for what you're doing here today. It's big, it's huge, it'll make a big difference. $12,000 on a $60,000 vehicle up front day one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great job. You know, we're just talking about something that's interesting. Ford would make, and I don't want to speak for Ford because we have one of the top people right here.
Mr. President, it's fine if you want to talk about
But Ford would make numerous electric cars in order to sell one Ford 150. Because they'd make all their money with the 150.
Yes.
And they were willing to lose money on building 2 or 3 electric cars that they couldn't sell in order to make some money on the 150, because the 150 is a monster. I'll tell you what, that no matter where you go, they love that Ford 150.
Yes.
But isn't it a ridiculous model when you have to build 2 or 3 cars that you know you're not going to be selling or not be selling for much in order to really do something that you should have the right to do, which is make a car that you want to make.
Yes.
And that the market wants, right? So congratulations on the 150.
Thank you. Best-selling vehicle in the United States. Thank you,
Mr.
Just saying. Now it's 100% built in the United States.
Now it's only going to do, no, but it really is, it's amazing. It's an amazing brand.
There was a lot of stupid things done here.
What would you like to say?
Yeah, I thank you, Mr. President, and Secretary Duffy, and all of us. You know, one of the last times I was here is when you signed the electric vehicle CRA, Congressional Review Act, that all of us participated in, the beginning of really making common sense, because it was going to impact 17 other states and really a large part of our economy. This is about affordability here. I'm just going to say one thing. Well, maybe I already said one thing, so now I'm going to say 2 things. When we talk about a car and auto, we sort of talk about just, oh, we need a car. Do you know what a car does for a family? You can take your children to school, you can go to the store, you can visit your mother, you can go to church, you can have a job, you have the flexibility that you need. A car for an American family is about a roadway to prosperity.
Big deal.
It's a big deal. And so by making them more affordable, making them more choice-driven by what families want and need, today is a great day for the American family.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And the American worker.
Say.
Well, thank you, Mr. President and Secretary Duffy, and to my colleagues that are here. In Tennessee, we make great automobiles, and we have a fantastic workforce. And whether you're GM or Ford with their new investment in Tennessee, or Nissan or VW or Toyota with the engine plant, what you see is the components that are necessary to build these cars. And removing these standards and making cars more affordable does mean that more people will purchase them, but it also means we're going to have to make more cars to meet that demand, and for Tennessee, that is a great thing.
So, I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking, like, we have the biggest auto manufacturers in the world. They're talking about investing billions and they're investing it as we speak, but billions and billions of dollars in our country. Thank you very much. And they're here. They're not like, well, maybe we'll do it. They're doing it because of tariffs, and they're doing it because of maybe they like the president, and we're doing things like this for them, which frankly, no matter who you are, this should be done. And we're doing things like deductibility of interest. When you borrow money to buy a car, you're allowed to deduct it from your income tax. That is a massive tax cut for people that probably are going to be trying to buy that car anyway. And I really think that interest factor is going to be one of the biggest things. I was proud of that because I thought of it, and it seems so simple. Other people are allowed big interest. If you're a rich person, you're allowed to have big interest deductions for different things you do. But if you're a middle-income person that has to buy a car, you were never entitled to anything. And now you're getting a full interest deduction on the loan. And I think that's going to have one of the biggest impacts. But we're here with companies that are investing tens of billions of dollars in our country as we speak. It's not going to be in 2 years or 3 years. A lot of it's because of the expensing provision in the bill, in the big, beautiful bill. But a miracle is happening in our country. It's a miracle. This is just the auto industry, but we have other industries where it's the same thing. They're building all over our country, and this is a revolution is happening. It's a business revolution. It's a jobs revolution. It's a car revolution. We're bringing back the car industry that was stolen from us because we have people that didn't know what they were doing sitting at this desk. They put the wrong people in because they weren't advised properly. And this is really an incredible thing that's happening. Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. And I think in many respects, pretty much everything that could be said has been, except that I think what Kevin talks about in terms of the cascading economic opportunity from this one single event is just the tip of the iceberg. When you think of all the rules and regulations that you have repealed, I think it's more important, frankly, than the tax cuts. However, in the Working Family Tax Cuts Act, remember we made permanent a lot of really good policy from the first Trump era, not the least of which for small businesses is bonus depreciation. The opportunity to depreciate the year that you purchase an F-150 for your small business or a large truck for your farm.
Yeah,
I just think we're going to roll into 2026 and we're going to see an escalation of economic opportunity, the likes of which I probably have never seen.
I think nobody's ever seen it, nobody in the world, because there's never been 18 or whatever it ends up being. In 10 months, we have $18 trillion being invested. We never had $1 trillion being invested. And Biden had much less than that. Think of it. He had less than $1 trillion over 4 years. We have $18 trillion in 10 months. And it's actually as of 9 months. So there's never been anything. Eric?
Yeah, Mr. President, thank you. And on behalf of the people of the great state of Missouri, who we actually make things from F-15s to F-47s now, thanks to you. We'll be building the F-47 and then F-150s. And those are real jobs, and we make things in Missouri. This is going to go a long way, I think, for making things more affordable for normal people. Nothing could be more American than driving a car on a highway, and this is going to make that more accessible for more people. So thanks for your leadership.
Your state's doing a great job.
Yeah, well, they love you too.
It's a great place. Thank you. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to talk to you just a minute from a rural perspective, because these CAFE standards were absolutely unworkable in rural Missouri, We need vehicles that are practical and affordable and can haul for our small businesses, for agriculture, and it just simply didn't work. Those CAFE standards didn't work. So I applaud you and Secretary Duffy for your hard work and what you're doing on behalf of rural America.
Well, it was keeping a lot of manufacturers out of our country, too. They said, we're not going to, are you crazy? They thought, outside manufacturers thought we were absolutely insane with all of the different things that were just made up nonsense. It was like made up. It was really made up by people that hate our country. I really believe. Does anybody else have anything to say?
I'd say about two quick things, Mr.
Oh, go.
President.
Bernie, I didn't see you.
Two quick things I think are really important. So the person who sat behind this desk before you gave $7,500 in subsidies to multi-millionaires who are leasing electric Rolls Royces, electric Porsches, electric Lamborghinis. We're getting $7,500 from the taxpayer. And these Democrats sit on this floor and say that Republicans are for millionaires and billionaires. We are the opposite of giving $7,500 to multi-billionaires to lease foreign electric vehicles. Number two, because of your policies, at the beginning of the year, 51% of the cars sold in America were made in America, 51%, before you got sworn in. Last month, that number was 57%. We moved it 6 points, which nobody thought would be possible in 4 years. We did it in 10 months. That's something that maybe the news should cover a little bit more. And we've driven down the price of automobiles. The car prices for consumers are down before you did
Just
this.
about everything is down. You know, this whole thing is, they use the word affordability. It's a Democrat hoax. They're the ones that drove the prices up. And all they do is say, affordability, and you're supposed to say, oh, that means they had low prices. No, we inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country. They say 48 years, but let's say that's history. I don't believe that. Biden had, because of his stupid ways and between his energy policies and his spending policies, we had the worst inflation in the history of our country. And now our prices are coming down. And they're coming down for cars, and they're coming down. I mean, did you hear yesterday when Chris Wright from Energy, the head of energy in our country, said there are now parts of our country, it's all happening, $1.99 for gasoline, a gallon. And we have it at $2.50, $2.60. It was at $5. And that's bigger than any tax cut we could give. You know, for the average family, that's considered bigger than any tax cut. So the word affordability, when they mention it, you ever watch them? It's all about, I saw the young lady that lost last night. She lost by a lot more than they thought. And we have a great new candidate in Congress, really great, Matt Van Epps. But I saw last night, she said, it's all about affordability, all about, they never talk about like the specifics.
Right.
Everything was through the roof. Eggs, when I took over, eggs were 4 times higher than they ever were. We got the prices down to the lowest level.
Yep.
I mean, amazing. But they never, you got to watch, they're great con people. It's like the Inflation Reduction Act. And after they got it approved, because everybody said inflation reduction, they admitted it had nothing to do with reducing inflation. It's a con job. I think affordability is the greatest con job. They look at you and they say, affordability. They don't say anything else. Everyone says, oh, their prices were so low. No, they had the worst inflation. We had the highest prices we ever had, and now they're all coming down, including beef is coming down. Beef was up there a little bit. Our ranchers did well, but we got to make them do a little bit less well, perhaps. But the beef is now coming down. Coffee is now coming down. It's all coming down. And it's a beautiful thing to see. But remember this, when they use the word affordability, they just say, they never say anything else. This election's about affordability, and then they go into the next subject. It's a con job. They caused the highest prices in the history of our country, the worst inflation in the history of our country, and we're getting those prices down, and they're coming down rapidly. And you'll see those results very soon. Anybody else want to say a few words? Oh, Ted, I can't believe it.
I'm easy to miss.
I didn't see.
Ted Cruz, ladies and gentlemen.
Go ahead, Ted.
Well, Mr. President, I want to congratulate you on behalf of everyone here for the leadership that you're showing. And this is a victory today for consumers. This is a victory for affordability. Your critics like to say the word affordability. Under Joe Biden and the Democrats, they put mandate after mandate after mandate on cars and trucks, and they drove the price up thousands and thousands of dollars. And with the actions you're taking today, and you put on top of that the one big beautiful bill, you know, most of the senators here on the Senate Commerce Committee, and on the Commerce Committee, we worked together to zero out the CAFE standards. We wrote that into the law that the CAFE standards went to zero. What does that mean? It means you can now, as a consumer, buy the car you want. It also means people's lives will be safer, because what these regulations did is they forced cars to be more expensive and made of plastic instead of steel, because you had to make them lighter to comply with these standards, so you'd get in a wreck and people would die. The result of what you're doing, you're literally saving people's lives, and you're making it where families can afford to get a new car. These actions will drop the cost of cars and trucks thousands of dollars. That makes a real difference. And I'll make one final point. You know, about half the members here are car dealers. And I will say my good friend Roger Williams out in the lobby, he tried to sell me a car, which didn't surprise me, but I just want to give props to Mike Kelly. He showed he was savvier because he tried to sell you a car, and you can afford a much nicer car than I can. So well done, Mike Roger. You just went to the wrong customer.
I was $100 cheaper.
The thing that Ted just said, it's true. Plastic instead of steel. Think of that. And people died because of that. The plastic was plastic in an auto accident, and it broke up, and people were shattered because of that crazy deal. But it's a really good point. Go ahead.
And Mr. President, I'll tell you, the Senate Commerce Committee on January 14th, we're going to have a hearing with all of the big three there and Tesla, and the entire hearing is going to focus on how your leadership has reduced the burdens on car makers. That's lowering costs, that's giving consumers more choices, and it's producing more jobs in America. And it's highlighting that's a real record of success.
Yeah, well, it's an honor. And, you know, they were going by California. We had like 2 different countries, California and 15 that followed California, because you had 15 states follow California. And the rules from California were just like everything else. That's why people are leaving. That's why it's such a mess. It's got there's a state with such unbelievable potential, but what they did with the car industry is incredible. And that was, you know, the car companies didn't know what to do because they had 2 standards, and you can't build 2 different cars for the same country. And what we're doing today is very big. Would anybody like to say something? Would you like to say something, my friend?
I just want to say thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Brian,
Mr. President, thank
Brian.
you.
And we love you, Brian.
Oh, I love you too, Mr.
Okay.
President.
I've
always said
he's a good man.
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
appreciate that. I've always said you've tackled the three M's: mortgage, munchkins, and marriage. You've solidified all of those. I'll add motor vehicles to that now. My question, I got one about consumer confidence. We just came off one of the record high Black Friday, up 9.1%.
Record high, highest ever, biggest amount ever purchased.
That is
in
true.
one day. Yeah.
Which I think counters this narrative of affordability, because apparently the Americans are spending money. So I want to see, how do you view that for a consumer confidence being so high going into Christmas and going into next year? And I do have one for the auto group after you.
Yeah, I just think that we have tremendous confidence in the country. You know, one of the things in terms of confidence, if you go back a year and a half, you know, it's amazing, we're like into 10 months already, but you go back a little bit before the election, because after November 5th, it started changing rapidly, even though we weren't running it until January 20th. But when you look back and you look at the enlistment of soldiers, people that wanted to join the military, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, it's like booming. It's all Space Force. But we had a we had the worst recruitment in the history of our country. A year later, we have the greatest recruitment in the history. You can't even get in. Getting in is like getting into a top college that you couldn't get in. People want to be in the service now, and that includes the police, environment, and other things. You couldn't hire police. You couldn't hire anybody in the Army or the Navy. You couldn't get people in. And we now have gone from that to record recruitment. We're getting high quality people, amazing people, wanting to be in the military. They have spirit now. You know, call it what you want, but that's part of it. But they have great spirit now. It's a great thing. Go ahead, ask your second question.
Okay, my second question, I've got a lot of close family friends in the automotive business, own dealerships all across Southern California. They sent me a question to ask you. There's a thing called a mileage blocker that is installed on vehicles. It's a type of a computer chip which alters the actual mileage driven on the vehicle so that when you have a leased vehicle that's turned in, they're losing thousands of dollars. They've got to go chase down these manufacturers. What can we do to track down these manufacturers of this illegal computer chip that's really hurting automotive industry?
Have you heard about this?
Yes, sir. They're getting built in China, and most of them are coming out of Great Britain, sir. They're being distributed through China, through distributors selling them online through Great Britain. Yes, sir.
That's not so good. What do you think?
No, look at that.
Bernie, do you know anything about that?
It works on older vehicles, and obviously, we got to do a better job.
Yeah, I think it's something, I've never heard of it. Very good. Wow. We never heard of it. That's pretty good.
Mr. President, you released video of that first boat strike on September 2nd.
Here we go.
Not the second video.
Here we go.
Will you release video of that strike so that the American people can see for themselves what happened?
I don't know what they have, but whatever they have, we'd certainly release. No problem. You know, we stopped every boat we knock out. We save 25,000 American lives.
That's right.
And
Thank you.
if you look at our numbers, the drugs coming in through sea are down 91%. I'm surprised there's 9%. You want to? I don't know who's doing the 9%, but it's down 91, and we're going to start very soon on land, and I'm sure you're thrilled to hear that.
On Ukraine, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner were there last night with Vladimir Putin. Can you give us an update about those talks? It sounds from what the Kremlin is saying that they're not going to compromise. Can you tell us what you've...
I don't know what the Kremlin's doing. I can tell you that they had a reasonably good meeting with President Putin. We're going to find out. It's a war that should have never been started. It's a war, if I were president, we had a rigged election. If I were president, that war would have never happened. It's a terrible thing. But I thought they had a very good meeting yesterday with President Putin. We'll see what happens. It's, you know, when I was in this office and I talked about no cards, I said, you have no cards. That was the time to settle. I thought that would have been a much better time to settle. But they, in their wisdom, decided not to do that. They have a lot of things against them right now. But you have President Putin had a very good meeting yesterday with Jared Kushner and with Steve Witkoff. What comes out of that meeting, I can't tell you, because it does take two to tango. You know, Ukraine, I think we have something pretty well worked out with them. They're very satisfied, considering. But the sad part is, if I were president, no war would have ever happened. They would have had 100% of their territory. Nothing would have happened. It's a very sad situation. So think of this. Last month, 27,000 soldiers. 27. That's like you take a stadium, a football stadium.
That's
not
bad.
an arena, and you cut it in half. 27,000 people died. Young, mostly young soldiers, died last month, in 1 month. And that's the only reason I'm involved. You know, we're not spending any money in the war. We're selling to NATO. We're not being ripped off like we were under Biden. Biden was handing everybody everything we had, giving them all the missiles, everything they wanted, free, no charge. He had no idea what he was doing. They're paying top dollar, full price for everything. Goes to NATO, and then NATO distributes it. NATO pays us. So it's not money. We would all, I think I can speak for everyone behind here. The politicians I know and the auto manufacturers are good people. They don't want to see 27,000 people die for no reason whatsoever. And that's the only reason I'm trying to help. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, switching to Venezuela for a second. Have you checked back with President Maduro? I mean, is your pressure campaign working? And do you think how's he responding?
You tell me, is it working? It's not pressure campaign. It's much beyond that, I think. But I spoke to him briefly, just told him a couple of things. We'll see what happens with that. Venezuela
told him a couple of things.
But Venezuela sends us people that they shouldn't be sending. They emptied their prisons into our country. They sent us killers, murderers. They sent us drug dealers at the highest level. They sent us gang members. They sent us people from their mental institutions. They emptied their mental institutions into our country. And so did other countries, because we had stupid people running this country. Really stupid people. And I think probably you had some stupid ones and you had some smart ones, but they were bad people too. Because not all of them were stupid. You can't cheat on elections like they did and be stupid. Okay?
Mr. President, did you talk to him a second time or just that one time?
What's that?
To Maduro. Did you speak to him again?
No, I didn't.
Mr. President, if you do find...
When you spoke with Mr. Witkoff and with Mr. Kushner...
Last night,
did they give you the sense that President Putin still wants to end the war, wants to make peace?
He would like to end the war. That was their impression. Now, whether or not, that was their impression. Their impression was that he would like to see the war ended. I think he'd like to get back to dealing a more normal life. I think he'd like to be trading with the United States of America, frankly, instead of, losing thousands of soldiers a week. But their impression was very strongly that he'd like to make a deal. We'll see what happens.
Mr. President, in the boat strikes, if it is found that survivors were actually killed while clinging onto that boat, should Secretary Hegseth, Admiral Bradley, or others be punished?
Shut up.
I think you're going to find that this is war, that these people were killing our people by the millions, actually, if you look over a few years. I think last year we lost close to 300,000 people were killed. That's not mentioning all the families. Have you seen what happens with the families of not only the people killed, the people that are trying to get their son or their daughter off of this poison that they've been fed? I think you're going to find that there's a very receptive ear to doing exactly what they're doing, taking out those boats. And very soon we're going to start doing it on land too, because we know every route, we know every house, we know where they manufacture this crap, we know where they put it all together. And I think you're going to see it very soon on land also. Yeah, please.
So to be clear, you support the decision to kill survivors after the initial
No, I
strike?
support the decision to knock out the boats. And whoever is piloting those boats, most of them are gone. But whoever are piloting those boats, they're guilty of trying to kill people in our country. Yeah, please.
The House Judiciary Committee has subpoenaed Jack Smith to ask about his investigation of you. I wondered, for a deposition, I wondered if you'd prefer to see that as a hearing so that the American public can see the questions and the responses more easily.
I'd rather see it probably at a hearing. Look, Jack Smith is a thug. He's a failed prosecutor. He's a bad man. He's an evil man. He hurt a lot of people. Forget about me. I do this stuff, but I got indicted many times by a guy that they were dismissed. He's a bad guy. He's a sick man. There's something wrong with him, actually. I think Jack Smith is a sick man. There's something really wrong with him. I'd rather see him testify publicly because there's no way he can answer the questions. But Biden knew this was going along. Kamala knew it was going along. And there's a lot of things happening right now that they don't like. One of the things is the auto pen. Everything he signed, almost, with the exception of the pardon of his wonderful son, Hunter, just about everything he signed was not signed by him. He had no knowledge of it. He didn't know what it was. People sitting around the beautiful Resolute desk knew exactly what it was. And those people are guilty, in my opinion, of a major crime. Everything that was signed by that auto pen, the man operating the auto pen, and I'm sure there are more than one because I think some of the people can operate it themselves. Some of the high-level people operated themselves. They would just go in and sign his name with an auto pen onto very important documents, not only pardons, but policy, maybe CAFE standards, okay, as an example. Who signed CAFE? If you ask Biden, what's a CAFE standard, he would have absolutely no idea. He'd say, where is the cafe located? The guy didn't know anything. Look, that just shows you what a rigged election can be. But you understand what I'm saying. Thank you.
NVIDIA, you've had conversations
with Jensen.
Right. So,
smart man.
In your conversations with him, have you kind of given a sense of where you are with export controls and the types of chips that NVIDIA can give to China?
He knows very well. He's done an amazing job. NVIDIA, very good. Yeah.
Mr. President, when do you expect for phase 2 of the Gaza peace plan to be implemented? And
well, it's going along well. They had a problem today, I understand, with a bomb that went off and hurt some people pretty badly, probably killed some people. They're telling me it just happened. But it's going on. We have peace in the Middle East. People don't realize it. We have tremendous support. 59 countries. There's tremendous support. But phase 2 is moving along, yeah. It's going to happen pretty soon.
Mr. President, did you speak with House Republican leadership about your decision to pardon Congressman Henry Cuellar? And are you concerned that you made a vulnerable Democrat perhaps less vulnerable with that decision?
It didn't matter. He's a respected person. He was treated very badly because he said that people should not be allowed to pour into our country. And he was right. He didn't like open borders. He was on the border. You know, he represents a very respected man. He represents the people on the border, and he saw what was happening. And as soon as he made that statement, I then said, "I'll bet he gets indicted." And that's what happened. You know, I put out my truth from that. Well, I did a truth, wonderful truth. We love truth. But what happened is he got indicted for speaking the truth. And his wife got indicted, Imelda. And that's sort of a first. Usually they leave the wives alone, right? Don't they, Congressman? Typically they indict somebody, put him in jail for the rest of his life, but the wife can just sit home and cry, or she'll find a new man, you know? A lot of times they find a new man that makes them much happier. In fact, a lot of times they like that man better than the one that's in jail. Go ahead.
President, thank you. The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, is saying that he's actually proud to have the largest Somali community in the country, and his police chief.
Well, then he's a fool.
Well, the police chief is also saying.
I'd be proud to have the largest Somalian. Look at their nation. Look how bad their nation is. It's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other. Look, these Somalians have taken billions of dollars out of our country. They've taken billions and billions of dollars. They have a representative, Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother. That's a fraud. She tries to deny it now, but you can't really deny it because, you know, it just happened. She shouldn't be allowed to be a congresswoman, and I'm sure people are looking at that. And she should be thrown the hell out of our country.
So
and
do
most
it.
of those people, they have destroyed Minnesota, okay? Minnesota, you have an incompetent governor. You have a crooked governor. He's crooked as hell, but he's incompetent. Walz he should be ashamed. That beautiful land, that beautiful state, it's a hellhole right now. And the Somalians should be out of here. They've destroyed our country. And all they do is complain, complain, complain. You have her. She's always talking about the Constitution provides me with... go back to your own country and figure out your Constitution. All she does is complain about this country. Without this country, she would not be in very good shape. She probably wouldn't be alive right now. So Somalia is considered by many to be the worst country on earth. I don't know. I haven't been there. I won't be there anytime soon. I hope. But what the Somalian people have done to Minnesota is not even believable. It's not even believable. And a lot of it starts with the governor. A lot of it starts with Barack Hussein Obama, because that's when people started coming in. And you have to have people come in that are going to love our country, cherish our country. They want to kiss our country goodnight. They talk about our country. We want them to pray for our country. And this is not the people living in Minnesota. And she's a disaster. She should not be, and her friends shouldn't be allowed. Frankly, they shouldn't even be allowed to be Congress people, okay? They shouldn't even be allowed to be Congress people. Because they don't represent the interests of our country. Anybody else?
Mr. President, you on Somali immigrants.
The automakers spent billions on meeting the Biden EV rules. Should they be able to recoup that somehow, given the change? And there's a question about the violation.
No. I'm not letting them recoup. They're going to do just fine. You know how they recoup? From this point forward, they'll do very well.
Can you also talk about the USMCA and what you're thinking about renegotiating that with the automakers?
Well, that's just an ongoing thing. It expires in about a year, and we'll either let it expire or we'll maybe work out another deal with Mexico and Canada. But look, Mexico and Canada have taken advantage of the United States, like just about every other country, in all fairness. It's not them, I'm not blaming them. But every country, because we had stupid people running our country. We had a lot of stupid people running. That's why we have $38 trillion in debt. But the beautiful thing about the tariffs is we'll start paying off that debt. The money coming in, they're finding money in our country now that they never knew existed. the other day, $30 billion. Where did it come from? I said, why don't you check the tariff shelf? They said, sir, that tariff hasn't started yet. It doesn't start till January. I said, no, it started 2 months ago. They called back, sir, you're right, it was from tariffs. No, we have a whole different country. I hope the Supreme Court, I pray that the Supreme Court understands the importance of the sensible, really, I mean, this would be country threatening if something happened with regard to that. You know, the people that brought that case are bad people. They're very bad people. They hate our country. They represent foreign countries, including China, but they represent, and China's paying us a lot of money now in tariffs, but they represent people that really don't like our country much. And I know some of them, and they're scum. In my opinion, they're scum. They're absolute scum. And they're not suing for any good reason. They're just suing to see if they can stop it, because they make money if this country does badly. You know? So, but we're taking in trillions of dollars. We're stopping wars. We have great national security because of tariffs. And then to think that we have to even go and justify this. The reason a lot of these people, I can tell you this, maybe we would have had the political people, we wouldn't have these people without tariffs. The people that are up here from Stellantis and Ford and General Motors, great companies, including this gentleman, they wouldn't be here today if we didn't have tariffs. They'd be building their plants in Mexico and other places. They're leaving Mexico and they're leaving Canada. They're leaving because they ripped off our country. They took our businesses away from us. And now, because of tariffs, they're all coming back. So it's a great thing. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, cameras. We're done. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks. We're done.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what nobody ever really talks about these days? It was in the summer of 2009. This is an Obama era policy. It was called Cash for Clunkers. 16 years ago. Who remembers Cash for Clunkers? This program where you could take your old we used to call them a beater. You could take your clunker, your beater, your kind of old rundown car, but it was good enough. Cheap, older cars. You could turn them into the federal government, get some money for them. It was this effort to kind of get these old cars off the road, I guess. And the reason why they wanted these old cars off the road is because they weren't good for the environment. That really was the motivating factor. This program, Cash for Clunkers, was one of the single most catastrophic, devastating, negative programs for Americans across the country. It was terrible because for like decades, it was always older, kind of cheaper, less expensive, a little bit run down. They've got some scratches and dents, whatever, who cares? These are the cars that you would teach your 16, 17, 18-year-old kid how to drive in. You'd buy one of these cars for your kids in high school or a high school graduation gift. Or if you were a low-income American, you would have a clunker. And it was like, it was fine. It was good. It was a good dynamic. My first couple of cars were clunkers. They were beaters. We always called them beaters. And now, I mean, man, I'm trying to think the first car I ever drove. This must have been 2010. It was probably worth $1,500. Now to get and I was 16 or 17. Now a good, just like a starter car as a young American, you're probably paying $5,000-$6,000, maybe more these days. You can't find an introductory cheap beater car these days. And if you can, they're super competitive. They're contested. Everybody's trying to buy them. Everybody kind of wants the same thing. It makes sense. You got to have a cheap car if you're a low-income American or trying to get a car for your 16-year-old high school student son or whatever. That program was terrible. And that was another Democrat failed policy. And they did it for the environment. We got to get these cars off the road to save the environment. And we're still trying to dig our way out of that hole these days. And so programs like what Trump is doing now, this is one step in the positive direction, trying to undo once again, undo the damage that far left, incompetent policy has caused in this country. It's been policy after policy for decades now. hollowing out, gutting the nation. Little fun fact here: they had all these car salesmen. I represent 18,000 car salesmen, whatever, across the country. Fun fact: out of all of the millionaires in the United States of America, what do you think is the most common job? Restaurant owner, I don't know, banker, whatever. What is the most common job to have amongst all of the millionaires in this country? It is car dealership owner. Out of all the millionaires, the most common profession or line of work for millionaires in America, it's somebody that owns a car dealership. So I don't know, maybe if you want to try to become a millionaire, try to get into the car dealership business, but it's a big deal. I mean, there are a couple things that every American is impacted by: food prices, gas prices, car prices, automotive prices. Everybody's got to have a car in this country pretty much from the age of 16 or 17 or 18. You got to have a car. It's pretty hard to get around the country, most places in the country, unless you have a car. So this is a step in the right direction. Trump is still dropping bombs on Somalia, figuratively. If you were to literally drop a bomb on Somalia, probably no one would notice. The entire country, as it is right now, is pretty much one big crater. I hate to say it, but it's pretty much true. You could start carpet bombing Somalia and probably no one would even notice. Not that we should. We shouldn't do that. But anyway, figuratively, Trump is still dropping bombs on Somalia. And Somalians, Ilhan Omar. You know, I need to put a little pressure out here, though. He's saying, well, she should go back to her own country. She should get the hell out of here. She's a stinky whatever. You can do that, Trump. You know that you're the president. You can do that. You should do that. It's one thing to talk about it. Okay, great, Trump. You could right now look at her immigration paperwork where she lied about being married to her brother. She was married to her brother. You can denaturalize her. We don't have to sit here and talk about it all day. You can denaturalize her today, right now. We all know what she did. Denaturalize her. We could have her on a deportation flight by the end of the night. Like within the next 6 hours, we could have her on an airplane. We could have her shipped back. She could be in Somalia 18 hours from now. It's a long flight. We got to stop talking about it. We got to just do it. We had the Chinese reporter, or Asian, she looked Chinese, probably Chinese, who was there asking about bombing narco trafficking boats. Who gave the order? Did you approve the double tap? I'll tell you what, man, these libtards, if I will. Can I call them libtards? Is that okay? Maybe it's a little bit rude. Whatever. These libtards, man, the story that they are just obsessed with, the narrative that they are obsessed with all day, nonstop, everybody's talking about it. Everybody on the left, that is. It's Donald Trump's double tap. It's Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth ordered a double tap. You're actually not allowed to kill narco terrorists. As if, like, when we are trying to stop narco traffickers, literal terrorists, we only have one shot to do it. Well, actually, I'm a libtard, President Trump, and you're only allowed to take one shot. And if you don't take him out in one shot, then you're not allowed to take a second shot. Like, says who? Like, according to who? Who instituted the one tap rule? What, you're not allowed to do another shot? These are terrorists. These are narco trafficking terrorists. They are, like, actively in the act of trying to kill Americans. They have been actively killing Americans for a very long time. Hundreds of thousands of Americans have died already as a consequence of this narco trafficking. And you're trying, like, you only have one shot. And if you miss your first shot, then you're not allowed to take another one. Like, says who? Who made that rule? What did Rachel Maddow come up with that rule? According to Rachel Maddow, you're only allowed to. Well, who gives a shit what Rachel Maddow has to say, or whoever the hell else is saying this? Who gives a hell? Who gives a crap? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you something here. I need to quickly go through super chats with you guys. You guys are just too generous. I have a secret plan here. I think you're probably going to like it. Normally, we do our daily news broadcasts at 5 p.m. Western, 8 p.m. Eastern. That is 3.5 hours from now. I think I'm going to do another one. I think I'm going to do that. I think we are going to do a normal 8 p.m. Eastern broadcast. So I need to get through today's broadcast, the broadcast right now, take a little break. I haven't even had breakfast yet. Have a little snack so I can come back 3.5 hours from now. We can do another daily recap, talk about some other stuff, do one of our more prepared shows. So let's take a look at these super chats here, folks. I've got a couple here on YouTube. I think I'm almost up to speed here. I'm trying to figure out where I think it was about here. Cindy Luhu dropped a couple super chats earlier, says, I really like this streamer, Matt. He never gets involved in the drama and he's honest. That is important. Thank you, Matt. I'm so happy you noticed. Can I say something here? If I look to my left, I look to my right, I look up above me, the other political commentators that are kind of in my field here, kind of on my level or even more successful than me, I do notice something. I have noticed something. All of these political commentators that are my size or bigger, they do end up kind of talking less about the news, like the actual news, what is going on, and they kind of just talk about interpersonal drama. Today we're going to talk about why I hate Candace Owens, or today we're going to talk about why Tucker Carlson is stupid, or today we're going to talk about why Tim Pool, blah, 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 blah. And like, that's like kind of all that it is. That's like at least 80 or 90% of what it is. And yeah, no, that is something that I don't do. In fact, very deliberately, intentionally, I have chosen not to do that. I do just kind of want to talk about the news. So that's what interests me for the time being, at least. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Tim says, don't understand how corporations make huge amount of money, but still take government money to expand. Use your own profits. You do see this with these big corporations. They love socialism when it's for them. They love socialism for big globalist multinational companies. But when it comes to like socialism or social style policies for like Americans or regular people, no, we can't do that. We love our bank bailouts. We love our corporation bailouts. We love our, massive taxpayer funded deals with the federal government. We love that. We love socialism for the companies, for these big, rootless, multinational conglomerates. But when it comes to like socialism or any type of social federally funded programs for Americans, no, we can't do that. Yeah, you kind of notice that. That is kind of how it goes. You can't help but notice that. That does seem to be the case. Goes on to say, Tim says, next we got to make food affordable. And that's slowly happening also. It takes time to clean up this big mess that the Democrats have left us. Every day we're cleaning it up a little bit. I mean, you guys know that interest rates right now are 1/3, almost up to 1/4 of what interest rates were during the Biden admin. They reached 9% interest rate. Right now they're like, 3 or 2.8 or something like that percent. Man, it's insane. You want to talk about affordability, like Trump was saying, well, the reason why everything is so expensive here is because the Democrats were in the White House for 4 years. That's just undeniable fact. Concrete Lizard 420 says, bring back the Ford Pinto. The Ford Pinto. Thank you very much. We got to bring back our clunkers. We need clunkers. We need beaters. I learned to drive. In fact, I spent the first... I'm not from a rich family. I'm doing a little bit better these days, but man, we were not a rich family growing up. And I spent a lot of time driving clunkers, driving beaters. I'm sure a lot of you guys were the same way. I spent 10 years driving beaters and clunkers, and we used to call them, we used to say, hey, nice shit box. I used to drive my shit box around town. That's what we called it. Beater, clunker. Back in the old days. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And then of course, Glenn Cummings. Glenn Cummings, thank you very much. I think you are going to be our last super chat of the day. Thank you, Glenn. Well, at least for the next 3.5 hours. Folks, I am going to be back in 3.5 hours or so, 5 p.m. Western. And 8 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to come back and we'll do our regular evening broadcast, our regularly scheduled programming. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Glenn, final super chat of the day. Do me a favor, make sure to like, subscribe, follow everything, all of it. We're on Rumble, we're on YouTube. Means a lot, helps a lot. big support. I appreciate it a ton. And I'll see you all in less than 4 hours. So thank you, and I'll see you folks soon. God bless. And until then, stay safe,